Tree Care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let them come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk. Plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
What happens next?
This may be the most important criminal trial ever brought by the federal government in the history of the country.
Happens right here.
The gravest political crime since secession.
Political speech now has been criminalized.
Will Trump serve his next term in the White House or in the Big House?
St. Louis's place to talk.
This case can be tried before the election.
That's exactly what Jack Smith did. He knows what he's doing.
101.9 and 94.1.
It's going to be tough. This guy's dance card is filling up fast.
News Talk STL.
Headlines when he's arrested for the murders of 4 beautiful University of Idaho students. Brian Koberger, I Am Blank, streaming now on Fox Nation.
For a limited time, get the first 3 months of your Fox Nation subscription for only $1.99. Sign up today.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, September 6, 2023. I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown. A federal judge sentencing the leader of the Proud Boys to 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy and other charges relating to his role in the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal with more.
Federal Judge Timothy Kelly says he understands Enrique Tarrio wasn't actually at the Capitol on January 6th, but that it was his revolutionary zeal that amped up 200 men for battle at the Capitol. He said the Proud Boys leader slandered the country by comparing one of his own group members to George Washington and by invoking 1776 on that day. Tarrio begged the judge for mercy, apologizing to officers, calling out 2 of them by name, saying he hopes to make amends to the badge one day. He painted a picture of himself as a guy who was saying boisterous things online and in text messages behind the scenes with his group members. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
3 other Proud Boys members convicted of seditious conspiracy sentenced to 15, 17, and 18 years in prison last week. President Biden masking up again after the First Lady tested positive for COVID. Fox's Jared Halpern has more on this from the White House.
He has no symptoms and is tested negative, but President Biden is taking new COVID precautions after the First Lady tested positive.
He will be masking while indoors and around people.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the president is following CDC guidelines like being tested regularly.
They recommend a combination of things, as I mentioned at the top, which is masking, testing, and monitoring for symptoms. He has no symptoms.
The president did make remarks without a mask while standing several feet away from guests at a Medal of Honor ceremony yesterday. He is still scheduled to travel to India tomorrow for the G20 summit. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
And I'm Ted Lindner in New York City. This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Minority-owned businesses will suffer a second pandemic of crime as local governments handcuff the police. We'll talk to Stone Washington about that from Project 21, Wednesday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michaels, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
I don't have to tell you, it's hot time summer in St. Louis, so why the heck are you still dragging those hoses around your yard? Tim Jones here for Professional Irrigation Systems. They will do a residential irrigation install in one day, custom irrigation designs for every property. We made that decision years ago. We've never regretted it. Irrigation installs improve your curb appeal. They also have got landscape lighting and fertilization packages as well. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. 636-692-4441, 24/7 at proirrigation.com. That's proirrigation.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Wednesday, a few days ago, I filed my weekly column on BillO'Reilly.com, which lamented that many Americans believe what they want to believe, and facts or lack thereof be damned. Our nation is rapidly descending into a state where propaganda and insane conspiracy theories are all over the place. This is not good, as it obliterates honest evaluations of powerful people and important situations. But there is something else going on in the public arena that's even worse. Folks who don't want to believe anything. Boy George sang about that in the 1970s. I'm a man without conviction. I'm a man who doesn't know. Well, George might have added, I'm a man or woman who doesn't want to know. And in your life, you know some of these people. They stay intentionally uninformed, inebriated, apathetic. They live in the USA, but don't care a whit about it. I believe, based on the lack of news consumption and book reading in America on the decline, that this is a rapidly growing faction, especially among younger citizens. And if that trend continues, our society will be drastically altered for the worse. Back after this. Eating, exercise, golf, pickleball, all cause inflammation. But now Revolutionary Relief has a natural alternative to help you. Their daily gels are great for ongoing support for internal inflammation, and the roll-on stick is a great way to keep cool and calm in your golf bag when that old injury starts to scream. For a limited time offer, the roll-on stick is yours free if you go to revrelief.com/bill. That's revrelief.com/bill. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Democrats do what they do.
We choose truth over facts. News, analysis, and opinion.
Wish. The economic policies of the Biden administration literally have turned the American dream into a pipe dream.
The Department of Justice is independent. That is what the president believes. He believes that this White House will not politicize the Department of Justice.
101.9 and 94.1.
We have laws and we're not enforcing them.
I could not agree more.
News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Here we go again. Yeah, my friends, I am afraid that it is now inevitable that we are going to be in a battle over mandates, restrictions, shutdowns, everything from social distancing orders to businesses trying to just survive because government tells them they can't take all the customers who want to be there, to possibly shutting churches down, to plain old mask mandates and orders. By the way, Anthony Fauci says he's very concerned that you might not do what you're told to do. And the White House now says they're listening to the experts at the CDC. What kind of comfort does that give you? I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about other things, but we know what is on the horizon, so we need to be prepared to defend our liberty this time, because a lot of us didn't step up. A lot of us didn't stand up and defend our liberty last time, and we're still paying the price. Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your day. Let's see here. We talked to State Senator Nick Schroer on Tuesday's program. He sees what's coming down the road as well, and he's already being proactive in contacting the governor, contacting the St. Charles County executive, putting them on notice, saying we want commitments that say you will not violate our liberty if and when a fear-mongering campaign over COVID or anything else rears its ugly head. Here's what Nick had to say. Here's that conversation.
Let's first explain what you've communicated to the governor, and then let's get into the why.
Well, it's election season, so the Branch Covidians are back. This is a strain of this disease that keeps coming up only in election season. So we're seeing shutdowns in schools from Texas, Republican states, New York, Democrat states, and we absolutely do not want to have that conversation when it comes here, because the facts are aligned with us. The facts are in our corner. As you just explained, Fauci has been the pusher of fake news ever since this pandemic started. So we see what impact it did to our kids, what it did to our economy, what it did to the liberty of people that just wanted to be left alone by tyrannical edicts like this from Sam Page and Tashara Jones. So we sent a letter to the governor. We sent it to Steve Ellman as well in the county of St. Charles, telling them, look, we want you to lead. We want you to do what the people elected you to do by vast majorities, and it's standing against the heinous shutdowns that could be coming yet again.
Hey, good morning, Nick. Stel here. Good to talk with you. And by the way, if you want to call it the election infection, you're welcome to do that.
It went from the Wuhan flu to the election infection. I love it.
Okay, you're welcome to use that. Is this anything similar to what Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has declared regarding her state, where she has come out blatantly and said we are not going to follow any type of mandate or mask or anything like that? Is that what you're trying to do with Parson?
Very similar, very similar. So, we're not the executive leaders, myself and Mark Mathieson, a good colleague from the county of St. Charles. He's in the House. We co-authored this letter basically saying, look, we want you to lead. We want you to take the first steps, because you're the ones that can ensure that the federal government's not going to have any place with their edicts, their bureaucratic demands from the CDC, and so on. So, yeah, take the lead like Sarah Huckabee Sanders and others have done. Heck, even Ron DeSantis, who's been a phenomenal governor down in Florida. But I think it's time that we ensure that whether it's a school district trying to shut down and send kids behind a computer screen yet again, shut down the economy by telling employees they can't come into work, we need leadership from the top. And if they're not willing to give it, you can rest assured that people like myself and Mark Mathieson and Senator Bill Eigel, we will stand in the way and make sure that nothing's going to get done if the economy is shut down and kids are sent home virtually yet again.
Nick, a lot of our Republican friends get mad at me when I say stuff like this. Governor Mike Parson issued a statewide stay-at-home order, so he actually had briefly, albeit briefly, he had a draconian response to this that went along with the fear-mongering. Have you heard back from the governor, or do you expect him to respond to this? Because my hope is that he looks back and says that was a horrible mistake. We will never tolerate that again.
You know, I'm hopeful that the governor would actually have that sentiment of, look, you know, when COVID first hit, we really didn't know how extreme it was. But like myself, I saw videos coming out of China where people in hazmat suits were dragging people outside of businesses. People were collapsing in the streets. So there was a bit of confusion. That's why I think conservatives like myself and others, we were nice the first go around. We now have the science. We now have the studies that show everything that they did was BS. And what were the ulterior motives? I'm not sure. But I can tell you right now, whether the governor responds or not, this will not pass go. We're not going to have these conversations of, is it time to mask up again? Because all of the studies show, like you just explained, that Fauci lied between his mousy little teeth. And we're not going to let people like that infringe upon our 10th Amendment rights or our constitutional rights again.
Okay, so let me ask you about the Robinson case, which obviously up and down the court system, Sam Page still among those using taxpayer money, fighting to have the authority to do all these things again. The argument being that there's a dispute over what state law allows or doesn't allow. Is there a chance, is there a possibility that the state legislature will take some kind of action to say, okay, if there's ambiguity regarding what local governments can and can't do, we're going to lay down the law, clarify the law, and say you cannot violate people's rights like this? Or is there still some kind of argument for local control? Because I'm telling you right now, and I've said this on the air, I don't care what Sam Page or the county council or anybody else does. I personally am not complying. End of story.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm right there with you. And I think when you look in the Constitution, whether it's the U.S. Constitution or the state Constitution, and I challenge my Democrat friends all the time, and even some Republicans that talk about local control, find it in there. Find it in the Constitution where it says, hey, states get these rights. You got your federal powers over here, and then all the municipalities and local officials, they can do X, Y, and Z. No. It is our duty as state officials, per the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution, that when we delegate these rights, when we delegate these powers to the local subdivisions, if they infringe upon those rights, if they overstep those rights, it is our duty to rein them back in, because government's first duty is protecting life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all of those God-given rights that we have that are ingrained in our founding documents. We are there to protect it and pull those powers back from people like Sam Page and Tashara Jones. So I do think, talking to colleagues of mine, Senator Ben Brown has Satchmo's Restaurant, who went through all of the hellacious shutdowns, and he fought like hell and is now in the Senate, thank God. I can guarantee you, he and I are looking at this case very hard as it's going back to the local courts. We're going to have to step up and clear it, make it crystal clear what State Representative Jim Murphy did just several years ago. We have to make it crystal clear that this is not an area where Tashara Jones, Sam Page, and other officials can play in the sandbox and take away your rights like they're in some third world country.
We're visiting with State Senator Nick Schroer. And Nick, the fact that you and I are having this conversation really kind of ticks me off, because I'd rather be talking to you about other stuff, frankly, more proactive stuff, more relevant stuff. We know at this point we're basically talking about the cold among a flu season. But right. Even if we were talking about back to that novel virus, and I had personal experience with that, it was terrible. I was in the hospital for a long time with that. As we all know, that was all over the media for quite a while. And even having gone through that, the thing that scares me the most is this impression that I'm getting that there are officials out there, elected and appointed, who are chomping at the bit to reclaim that authority. And it just seems to me that they are begrudgingly, they are very angry that the public turned against them, and they are demanding that we trust them again when there's no reason to whatsoever.
Well, I'm saying never again. Never again will we just blindly trust the government. Never again will we just blindly trust people like Anthony Fauci, who have been wrong more times than he's been right, dating back to the AIDS issue. And it just baffles me that any government official is going to be upset because Now the public is seeing the corruption within the government. It's seeing that the government mismanages all of this stuff, especially their lives. And the people who are most important in that decision to make when it comes to the upbringing of their kids, when it comes to upbringing of their own lives or running their business is you. It's the individual.
Yeah.
And Fauci, in that CNN clip that you played, I find it very baffling that now he wants to talk about the individual, mask up the individual. If you were concerned about individual rights, you'd have had your initial position, which is based in science, that these masks do nothing to stop the spread, that the vaccines did nothing to stop the spread, to stop you from getting the virus. And I think when we go back to the individual basis, we're going to figure out that this country was founded upon embracing individual liberty. And that's how we're going to save this nation, is allowing these people that were infringed upon, that were harmed, whether it was by these shutdowns, whether their kids are now seeing a psychiatrist because they did not know how to cope with a lot of the crap that was going on in our world. It is now time to listen to the individual and not the bureaucrat.
Is there something the state legislature, is there something that through the legislative process that can be done to handcuff the Sam Pages of the world, to handcuff the Tashara Joneses of the world, to handcuff the Faisal Khans of the world, or even the St. Louis County Council, which seems to me would be real eager to try to do something, or the St. Louis Board of Aldermen? Is there something legislatively that can be done to ensure that our rights are protected against these local governments and bureaucrats?
100%. But there's a big problem. There's a big problem when it comes to the spine of the politicians that we have in Jeff City. And I like a lot of them, but once they get up there, they start listening to the lobbyists. They start listening to the core, the team that Sam Page and others built with taxpayer dollars to buy these lobbyists to come in there and convince you that this is not the right approach. Well, back then, we didn't have all the studies public to us. Now we do. Now we have books. My wife's reading an incredible book right now, which shines a light on a lot of this stuff. And it's titled The Undercover Epicenter Nurse by Erin Marie Olszewski. And it goes into a lot of the studies from her time in Florida and in New York, and how the government got it wrong. We now have all of this at our fingertips, and that's why I'm praying that once we come back and deal with the situation in the Missouri Senate, that our colleagues in the House as well as the Senate will have the spine to call these officials out, to call these lobbyists out and say, no. This is not based in fact. It's not based on peer-reviewed science. This is based on BS, and that's the best that I can call it right now on air. But we need individuals to stand up and embrace these state tactics to take back the power and put it back in the individual's hands, and not these elected officials like Sam Page, Tashara Jones, and other tyrants that are power hungry, wanting to strip that power away from the individual.
Like I said, Nick, it really pisses me off that this is what we're talking about today, but we have to keep this front and center. And listen, if somebody wants to walk around with a mask on, that's your business. You look like an idiot, but you're welcome to do it. And when it comes to whatever vaccine or booster you want to get, I'm not going to tell you what to do or not do. I'll tell you what I'm not interested in doing if you care. But the fact of the matter is that is all irrelevant when you look at how aggressive so many people in government want to be in using this as an excuse to simply crack down and take away people's livelihoods and liberties. And it is a sick, demented mindset that so many people in government have.
Boy, we're inching closer and closer and closer to this socialist communist mindset that the government knows best for us. You know, you've got the oppressors and the oppressed. Who's being oppressed right here? It's we, the people. And who's oppressing us? The government. So let's throw those terms back at them and show them that this free market system, the system that we've embraced in this republic, an experiment. I mean, we've got the youngest republic in history, but one of the oldest constitutions that have survived all of these attacks by communists and socialists. And it's exactly why that we need to embrace this individual mindset. Look, if this comes up again, if you see it in your school district, if you see it in any of the businesses, whether it's mask mandates, vaccine mandates, shutdowns, sending kids home virtually, contact my office. We are going to put a microscope on this stuff. Get behind the megaphone. My colleagues and I in the House and the Senate are sick and damn tired of seeing this happen, seeing your rights being infringed upon. So if you see this happening, go to senate.mo.gov, look me up, whether I'm your senator or not. We are going to take this fight where it needs to be, to the front lines.
The News Roundup coming your way just ahead right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. That's in about 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Analysis, opinion.
Just calling to say, I'm sad, I'm outraged, I'm upset.
101.9 and 94.1.
It's just a mess. A lot of people are conflicted on who to vote for and what the strategy is.
News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Summer is not done with us just yet, my friends. The heat waves have been hard on us, and they've been hard on your air conditioner. So now is the time to get that AC tune-up. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Anton's Heating and Cooling. Schedule your AC tune-up today. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941. Prevent a breakdown and protect your family by getting that air conditioning tune-up today. 314-338-3941 or visit antonshvac.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Do you live in St. Charles County? Then you can get Mid-Rivers News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. Mid-Rivers News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit midriversnewsmagazine.com/subscribe to get a copy delivered to your mailbox. Or you can pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. Mid-Rivers News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You know, Congress never seems to run out of money to spend, so why are some worried about not figuring out how to spend your money?
Because, you know, money grows on trees.
Yeah, we're the trees.
Sadly.
Yeah. Still no arrests, so I'm going to ask again, is what happened to Webster Groves really a hate crime?
I've been wondering the same thing.
Mainstream media is convinced. I'm not.
Nor am I.
And who should get to decide how much your kid works during the school year? Got another piece of breaking news here, Stel. Tim Jones left his key card here at the studio.
Okay.
I'm like, what the heck is this? Man, there's a bunch of stuff in here. I
Ooh.
don't know. There's another card here. That's another key card here.
Maybe you and I can go to lunch.
Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Okay. Well, he does. You'll be glad to know that Tim is an insured driver. Here's his insurance card. Okay. So, Tim, if you can't get in the building a little bit later on, it's because I got your key card. It is 5:51 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That is still Punticus. It's the little things in life, It's just the little things that bring us joy, So, watch. I'll do something stupid like leaving my Facebook or something like that open and really get hammered on this at some point.
Rachel loves that, I bet, when you leave your Facebook page open.
Yeah. She actually has not got me on that, but I have made that mistake at a couple of workplaces in radio. Don't ever do that.
No.
All right, want to do some news?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? All right, Enrique Tarrio, who is, I guess now the former, I don't think he's currently, but I guess the former leader of the group called Proud Boys, been sentenced to 22 years in federal prison for his role in the U.S. Capitol riots on January 6th. So after the sentencing on Tuesday, Naib Hassan is Tarrio's attorney. He says they are going to at least appeal the sentence.
While we respect the judge's sentence, we respectfully disagree, but yet we respect it. There'll be a day and a time where an appeal will come, and we expect the appeal to come soon.
I don't know that they're going to appeal the actual conviction, but this is the longest sentence handed down to a Capitol riot defendant. Federal prosecutors were asking for 33 years, and then he got 22 years in that sentence. So.
Allegedly, he was working out of some place out of town, like Baltimore.
Right, yeah. He wasn't actually at the riot.
Yeah.
But
that's weird.
What they determined was that he was basically instigating and coordinating parts of the riot. So you don't have to be there to cause a problem on that. So, but yeah, he was basically, he's one of those, I'm a real tough guy until consequences for your actions are staring you right in the face. And then he wasn't so tough on that. So they may get a different sentence. But if the federal government wanted 33 years and you got 22, be careful about appealing there, dude, because that means they can also go for more sentencing a little bit later on. Okay, Alton High School. I don't know. I keep finding out more information about this whole thing. Alton High School is reopening for in-person classes today. They were not open yesterday. The school has been closed since several fights described as brawls broke out 1 week ago. Students now have to go through metal detectors as of today to get into the building and go through metal detectors to get into at least one of the gyms. School officials say they're restricting where students could go between classes, and anyone caught recording things like fights on camera could lose their phone privileges. Still no word on what led to the fights. I'm a little suspect of if you record something like record a fight, you could lose your phone privileges. Sounds a whole lot like don't let the community know what's really happening here.
And I guess there was a few other incidents that happened at other schools in the area over the last few days.
It would not surprise me in the least bit. Yeah. All right. The Senate has returned to Washington following their summer recess. And while speaking on the Senate floor, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says, you know what the top priority is?
This month, of course, Congress needs to address our nation's most pressing needs with timely appropriations, and we need to keep the lights on come October 1st.
Okay, by the way, I did not slow down that audio. That's just really what he sounds like at this point.
Well, turtles don't move too fast.
No, they do not move or speak very quickly at all. All right, now that Congress is back from their recess, they're picking up where they left off. And when it comes to Jim Jordan and his oversight committee, they are still basically going until they run out of money or told they can't do it anymore. Representatives in the House, especially House Judiciary Chairman, Congressman Jim Jordan was on Fox's Hannity last night to talk about the committee's ongoing investigation into the weaponization of the Department of Justice. Jordan says that launching an impeachment inquiry into President Biden may just be what they have to do.
The White House is getting all ready because they know what's likely to happen later this month. The Speaker's been clear about this. If we need to go to an impeachment inquiry phase of our oversight work, we will do that. They're getting ready, but we're going to come at this from all angles.
And Congressman James Comer, who oversees the Oversight Committee, is investigating the business dealings of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden as well. All right, Cardinals got the series with the Braves off right. Ozzie Albies, whoever that is, Tyler O'Neill, Nolan Gorman, and Jordan Walker all had home runs in the 10-6 win in Atlanta. Second game of the series starts tonight at 6:20. Dakota Hudson is on the mound for the Redbirds. Nolan Gorman actually had 2 home runs. So Jordan Walker, by the way, his first major league game in his home state of Georgia, and he hits a dinger.
He had a good game.
He did, very.
The latest news.
There's like tarps and furring strips and nails and construction supplies that are necessary.
The bottom line is we have an overwhelming number of personnel that are on the ground working to restore everybody.
The news you need to know.
There's no question Hunter Biden was enriching himself and his family.
This is on the minds of Republicans, Democrats, Independents, worried about the very bedrock of what this country is, which is democracy.
And the place to talk about it.
Are we ever going to stand up for what is really right on this planet?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Mark McCloskey here, and my friend Mike Lindell and his team at MyPillow are having a big sale to celebrate their 20th anniversary and the sale of over 80 million pillows. Mike and his team want to thank everyone by giving you the lowest price in their history. The MyPillow queen-size pillows that are regularly $69.98 are now just $19.98, and for just $10 more, you get a king size. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs to help you get the best sleep ever. Patty and I have slept on MyPillows for a long time, and we just got our new 2.0 pillows and a set of Giza Dream Sheets, and we love them. Go to MyPillow.com to get queen-size MyPillows for only $19.98 or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE. In addition to this special anniversary offer on the MyPillows, you will also receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE to unlock these savings.
Now is your chance to hear Attorney General Andrew Bailey at the iconic Turkish Pavilion in Tower Grove Park.
Hi, Mary Teresa McLean here, Chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis, inviting you to the Taking Our City Back picnic starting at noon on Sunday, September 10th. It's a free family event, and we want you there.
Bring a friend and meet Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Plus, enjoy free barbecue. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Expected to announce another big money package of aid for Ukraine, Secretary of State Blinken making an unannounced visit to Kiev.
Blinken's trip aims to assess Ukraine's 3-month-old counter-offensive and signal continued U.S. support for Kyiv's efforts to drive out the Kremlin's forces after 19 months of war. Some of Ukraine's Western allies have expressed concerns over the pace of the counter-offensive's progress. Washington officials say possible alternative export routes for Ukrainian grain will also be discussed following Russia's exit from the Black Sea Grain Initiative and its frequent bombardment of Ukraine port facilities. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
His lawyers say there will be an appeal of former Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio's 22-year prison sentence for his role in the January 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. The sentence imposed by U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly, who says Tarrio was motivated by revolutionary zeal.
Tario lowered his head after the sentence was imposed, then squared his shoulders, raised his hand, and made a V gesture with his fingers as he was led out of the courtroom in orange jail garb.
Correspondent Ben Thomas. Say hello to Lee. Tropical storm Lee, far out in the Atlantic, is expected to achieve hurricane status by the weekend. But right now, it's way out there, roughly midway between Africa and the Lesser Antilles. And it's too early to say whether it will eventually impact the U.S. East Coast, although most forecasting models predict it will not. He is masking up again, President Biden wearing a face covering since the First Lady tested positive for COVID. The president's results have all come back negative. Tomorrow he heads off for a G20 summit in India. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 50 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's A-N-G.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Let's cut a deal at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Save up to $5,000 on a select John Deere compact tractor package with our exclusive 10-year warranty. And to make things better, we're offering 0% financing for 60 months with zero down. Get your John Deere equipment by shopping online or visiting us at any of our 28 locations. Let's cut a deal now at Seidenstricker Nobe, snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
On the next, Larry Connors USA.
An employee at a major hospital leaks a story about sex change training involving a 3-year-old.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy? Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer. Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, get up. This is your cousin.
So media is celebrating the rainbow-infused response to what they are calling a hate crime. Remember this story?
Oh, yeah, that's
Webster
right.
Grove,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep.
There were two churches, right, involved in this whole thing?
Well, and apparently now another business says that, hey, I'm a victim too.
All right.
All in Webster Groves?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, jump on the bandwagon, I guess.
Well, maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm questioning. Let's put it that way, and not the way that the LGBT people use the word question. I'm question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, I haven't mentioned this in a while. We are streaming every one of our local shows on video as well. So got your smart TV sitting around. Maybe you're listening to us on our app. You can also watch us on Rumble in particular. We're on YouTube. You look up Mike Ferguson in the morning, and of course we're on Facebook and Twitter and all that. But Rumble, I think, is really where it's at as far as the future of streaming for conservative media. So check that out. Oh, by the way, before I get into the story, hey, look at this, Gabe. You see this?
Yeah.
Tim Jones left his key card at the studio.
Oh boy,
that's
right.
It's got
I
a couple
see
key card for something back here.
Yeah.
Too. I don't know what
wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have trouble parking today.
I don't know how he's going to park or get in the building. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just there. It is. All right.
Tim.
I saw this story, and it was this one was Channel 4, but other stations have done it too. Media just accepting that the Pride and trans and BLM flag and sign destruction Webster Groves from 2 weeks ago, I think that was?
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Must be a hate crime. They just are reporting it. It is a fact. It is a hate crime. Police are investigating this hate crime. If you have any information about this hate crime, call the police. But they're celebrating the fact that several people donated a bunch of, left-wing flags and signs to the one of the, I'm using air quotes here, victim.
Yeah.
Color me even more skeptical now, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am going to stop short of saying I think we got a hoax here.
Okay.
I'm just saying we might have a hoax here.
All right.
And I'm absolutely willing to be wrong. And if they make an arrest and it is some right wing Christian fascist whatever term they want to use, I will absolutely eat my words and say I was wrong and condemn what the person did. However, yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at this story, and so we talked about a couple of the left-wing churches that, had their Black Lives Matter signs and flags and stuff like that damaged, and one of them said there was a fire that sort of charred one of the columns in front of the building. So vandalism, we're talking about an actual crime.
Yeah.
Unless you did it to yourself, then it's not a crime. Because if it's your property, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
But they're saying somebody came in middle of the night into left-wing Webster Groves and decided what they were going to do was start burning rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter signs and stuff like that.
Yeah, just kind of passing through Webster Groves.
Right. I mean, you're bored. You got nothing to do. It's 2 a.m, whatever. And so there's another business, and I know exactly where this is. It's right there on Big Bend. It's a counseling service for LGBT. It's like a pro-LGBT affirming type of counseling service.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So, I don't know whether they just work with adults or whether they groom kids. I have no idea what she does. So she goes, she rushes to the TV cameras and she's doing a story because she says that some of her, her trans flag was burned and her Black Lives Matter stuff was done. And she's a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
She's, which that's like part of the story. She's like, we need to have a big, queer statement. And so you can see the story on KMOV. And so the crux of the story that I saw on KMOV was that so many people responded by replacing and sending her flags to replace the one that was burned, to replace the signs of Black Lives Matter and Trans Lives Matter and all these kind of left-wingy type bonkers stuff out there. And, so her yard for her office is now basically covered in all the virtue signaling.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm looking at this and, we're bold and I'm looking at this, all these people donating the signs and the flags and, that's the real story in the statement. And the person who owns the business, she says she's now got a security camera to watch what happens in the yard, but she didn't have one before.
Okay.
In her business.
Right.
Okay, well, so that's the weird thing. None of the places had cameras.
Yeah.
Even though at least one of the churches said we've had this happen before. So, I want to be careful and just, stop short of making accusations. So I'm not making accusations.
Sure. We don't have hard evidence of anything.
That's the point. We don't have hard evidence. Neither does the media.
Yeah.
Neither do any of the so-called victims.
Mm-hmm.
And So I'm not going to make accusations on it. Maybe there is a right-wing conservative, bag of hat wearing, DeSantis supporting, Nikki Haley supporting, Mike Pence acolyte. Maybe there's one of those running around saying, I need to find something with a rainbow pattern to burn.
Right.
Maybe that's out there.
Sure.
Maybe not. Just
well,
saying.
Speaking of MAGA, Don on YouTube said they didn't yell, "This is MAGA country."
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. No,
I'm sure they did.
No. You only do that in wintertime.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't do it during the summer. But we also know there's a pattern around the country of people basically committing hoaxes.
Yes.
Running to the media, getting everybody worked up to say, look at how oppressed this group of people is, and it's all because of you damn conservatives.
Yeah, and it's important to their ideology. I mean, if you notice, acquiring and establishing and maintaining victim status is an important aspect of living in the sort of leftist fantasy world that these people do, because it's a status symbol. It's a position of power to be a victim, because from that position you can make demands.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly what happened. That's a great point, because you look at the story on KMOV. That's precisely what's happening is demand sort of, but just the whole bold, I'm in your face, we're not going to, grrr, she kind of had that
rah-rah
butch thing going on.
You got that? Okay.
Can I say that on the air? Still,
yes.
Can I say that on the air?
Well, I think you just did.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
And listen, hey, lady, live your life however you want. Whatever. You just met all the stereotypes. I mean, think about what you think she looks like. She does.
Checked every box.
Every one of them.
Okay.
Now, if somebody committed a crime and destroyed her stuff, then she is a victim.
Yes, that's
and
true.
that person, whoever did it, should be prosecuted.
Should pay restitution.
Yeah, without maybe even in the slammer for a few days.
Sure.
For destroying other people's stuff. I'm just getting more and more and more skeptical the more that there's a follow-up on this, because the story kind of went away, which I predicted was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so there's no arrest, and so somebody had to bring up a new angle, and it was, look at all of these open-hearted, loving leftists who are donating rainbow flags and signs.
Yay for us, I guess. That little stand. You know who did it. You know who did it. I think I've identified it.
Uh-oh.
The one who sells the rainbow
There
flags in
you
the
go,
village.
yeah.
There's a little stand at the end of in the road somewhere in Webster Groves, and he's like counting his money. He's like, "Yeah, buddy."
We'll call this the hate crime fund.
Hate crime.
Oh, jeez. All right. So we'll get into this a little more later on, but the more I see it, the more I'm kind of going, I'm willing to be wrong, and I will eat my words, and I will admit that I'm wrong, and I will apologize if I am. But we've seen a pattern of this before.
Well, if it's 8 out of 10 times that they're crying wolf, you're just gonna assume that wolf is being cried.
Right. Yeah. Precisely.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, more the likelihood of something like that happening, which I'm sure it does.
Sure.
But it's more likely to happen when somebody puts something like that out in a conservative area.
Yeah.
Just like if somebody puts a conservative sign out in a very liberal area.
Right.
That's where those things happen.
One of the reasons why most conservatives don't.
Oh, I don't.
Right.
I mean, I don't put yard signs out of I put a joke one out a few years ago. Do you remember this? I put one out that just said any functioning adult 2020.
Yeah.
It got stolen.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, I thought that was funny.
It's not even partisan.
No. It was bipartisan, snarkiness. And it got stolen.
Of course.
Yeah. All right.
Well, my wife put one out that said, "My yard sign against yard signs."
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
I might have to purchase one.
Down
of those.
with yard signs. Down with yard. Exactly. Okay, so I want to get into this in more depth here in just a minute, but I already saw the first headline of 2023 with the words misinformation and experts in the wording.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. And also, experts are concerned that there are COVID infections going, gasp, unreported.
No.
Yeah.
What? You mean people have a cold and they're not telling us to light our hair on fire because COVID's going to kill us?
Yeah. So the headline is experts dispel misinformation as bi-state sees rise in COVID-19 cases. Now, you have to actually kind of dig in and read the whole story to carefully read it, to figure out the article admits that being vaccinated does not protect you from infection.
Wait.
Of the current
Hold on.
formulation of the virus.
They told us
yeah.
things about that.
Can I ask you a question, Gabe?
Sure.
A little bit technical here.
Yeah.
It's still being labeled as COVID-19. The 19 is supposed to be for 2019. Why does it still have that label?
Yeah, I think 19 was for the novel virus.
Yeah, that was a novel.
And then now all of the
variants?
now you have the variant number. So it's still a derivative of 19. That's my understanding is the way they classify these things. So it's COVID-19 Omicron, COVID-19 serendipity or whatever. I don't know. No, actually, did you see the name of the latest variant or something like that? It's like
Parola or something?
Yeah, Parola or something like that. It sounds like a third world country's attempt at a subcompact car. Right. You know what I mean? It's got 3 wheels and you can with a few extra dollars you can have like a hand crank to run your windshield wipers.
2024 Parola.
Exactly. Coming to you.
Coming soon.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it sounds like. It's like I don't think they focus test that one.
No, I
don't think it's getting the same amount of cred that Omicron got us.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough name.
That's a cool sound. It sounds like a transformer.
I'm like, Mom, why couldn't you have named me Omicron for my middle name?
I'm just bummed that they gave up on Greek letters.
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with you guys?
But yeah, I mean, the article itself, though, you have to read, like I said, really read in it to figure out that they admit being vaccinated does not stop you from getting infected.
Right.
With what's happening now or others.
In particular.
Yeah. And also, you have to really kind of read there to go, oh, yeah, it's a very, very mild illness. And so when they're freaking out about, well, people aren't reporting it, no, don't report it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I end up getting sick, which who knows, we may. I mean, I know several people who got the latest round of COVID, and they're like, yeah, that wasn't fun, or other people are like, yeah, it wasn't a big deal. I'm telling you, if I get it and I have to call out sick for a couple of days, I'm just sick for a couple. I'm not reporting it to the health department. I'm not taking a test. So if I'm sick, I'm sick, and that's just the way that it is. No, I'm not. I've been through that rigmarole with the county health department, and I'm not cooperating with them on anything anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, COVID, and remember, guys, COVID is it's in the family of coronaviruses, right? Which is the same as the common cold. The common cold is a coronavirus, right? So when you get a cold, are you freaking out? Are you going, oh no, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna spread it to the world. I get just behave like you always did when you got a cold,
right? Yeah, and I want to follow up on this because I know we're a little heavy on the segment right here. Got to get to an information segment. But we're hearing and we're seeing the White House and media go back to this, pushing the experts. Who is the expert cited in that news story? The CDC.
Of course.
And so here we are back saying, well, the facts are based on what these experts say. Experts who have spent 3 years destroying their credibility. It all ties together once they start trying to control us again. Yeah. You want to hear a great conversation about that? We talked to Nick Schroer yesterday. Look up our podcast and be sure to download that and check it out. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cookie.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What are you waiting for? Get up, get up.
Hey, it's your buddy Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. For 25 years, offices, hotels, restaurants, and churches have been saving money and time by shopping at discountcoffee.com. They offer the largest selection of name brand coffee, tea, cappuccino, break room supplies, and free shipping to your home or office. Plus, get an extra 15% off when you use the coupon code RightMind. That's discountcoffee.com. Order now at discountcoffee.com.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to healthcare, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hi, everybody. It's Todd Showalter with the Right Mind Show right here every Saturday at 5 p.m. on News Talk STL. This week, we'll continue to save America and our sanity with a variety of special guests that'll put a thought in your head and a smile on your face. That was kind of clever, wasn't it? Plus, Coffee Talk with King Kirby from Discount Coffee and our usual cast of characters. So we'll see you this Saturday at 5 p.m. for the Right Mind Show. And hey, we're putting the fun back in our dysfunctional world right here on News Talk STL.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
Most people are familiar with the Charlton Heston NRA meme regarding gun rights. I do feel pretty strongly about the preservation of Second Amendment rights, of all of the rights guaranteed by our Constitution, in fact. But I have to say, there may be something that evokes that sense of righteous defiance in me even more than guns. I don't know what it is lately that has the nanny scolds working overtime on coming up with ways to lord it over regular folks by floating the idea of taking away this ubiquitous item or banning that convenience, but I've about had enough. The ship may have sailed on the incandescent bulb, but I'd kindly ask the government and other aspiring fascist busybodies to get their damn paws off my gasoline-powered SUV, my gas or wood-burning stove if I wanted one, the setting on my thermostat, and for the love of all that is holy, my burgers and beer. I don't know why we have an alcohol czar, but we don't need one, and we sure as heck don't need one limiting us to 2 beers a week, nor do we need cities pushing for zero meat and dairy consumption. Sure, fine, we should all aim for healthier diets, but they can have my burgers and my beer when they pry them from my cold, dead hands.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, I know that conservative radio, I'm supposed to do the whole thing where I get all worked up and angry and redlining and get you all fired up. I want to first just point out how stupid this thing already is with them trying to push the COVID nonsense again. And I don't know, strategically, why? It took us 3 years, but we figured out, hey, you guys are full of stuff.
Stell's over there on the button.
I know.
Get ready. I was ready.
You're full of it. So why not come up with something else to fearmonger?
Yeah, do something different.
Right. I mean, it's to the point now where if I see somebody walking around and they're wearing a mask and they want to converse with me, I'm probably going to tell them go away because it looks like you're too stupid to be in a conversation with me.
Dude.
I mean, is that bad? I mean, is that like unchristian of me to say, hey, I see you got a mask on. You're clearly an idiot. I don't have time for idiots.
I felt very, very Mike Ferguson as I was walking into work yesterday because I saw a guy walking in with the mask on from the parking lot.
And that was not here. That was
at my other job.
Right.
And I'm like, this dude probably has a technical job.
Yeah.
It's like he's a scientist. He understands. He's probably capable of reading these studies just as much as I am. And he's coming into work. He doesn't even have to be there. We can work remote most times.
At my wife's church, there is a family, and they strap N95s onto their little preschool children.
Like tight.
You can see the...
Oh, my.
Yeah.
The skin puckering around the
and then
straps.
there's like a woman I see now. To be fair, even though it's not a particularly conservative church, there aren't that many masks, but there are some.
Sure.
And like the time when you get up and you're supposed to get around and greet people, and this is my least favorite time of service.
You're one of those.
And but it's one like there's always somebody who's got the mask on and they sit there and they like.
They clam up. They
clam
turtle.
Up. It's
they
like,
turtle.
Don't touch me kind of stuff.
They turtle.
Because they got their mask on. I'm like, oh, okay. So like at one point, I'm like, okay, I turn around to shake hands and the woman had a mask on. I didn't realize she was sitting that close, and she kind of looked out and kind of feebly held out her fist.
Right, fist bump.
Like, and so I just kind of did the whole, just wave my hand.
He's like,
down,
never mind.
I just never mind.
Never mind.
And I just rolled my eyes and walked away. And it was like the rudest thing I could do, but I did. And so is it bad that that's how I react now to the people in those circuits? I mean, if you're that freaking scared, go on YouTube and watch the service there.
That's kind of my thing right now. Is like, there's giving into fear, and then there's kind of dragging your fear into the public square and just putting it on display for everybody. You know what I mean? It's like if I was actually literally afraid of either infecting or getting infected by other people in such a way, I would not go to public places that I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't.
So at that point, the mask is just a virtue signal.
It's a weird virtue signal.
It's a weird flex.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm going to go into a fellowship hall.
Right.
That's I don't know if you guys are have the old school church lingo. The place where everybody got together is kind of a fellowship hall. It's like because church is a fellowship. It's a fraternity of sorts. It's a brotherhood of believers.
Kind of like in school, the all-purpose building.
The all-purpose. Yeah. So why would you go to a place where specifically you're gathering with your family? We're supposed to be the family of God, and you want to sit in the corner and cringe when anybody reaches out to you in affection.
Right.
That's weird. Why would you go to the family reunion and not want to? Okay, never mind.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
so I haven't. I'm not actually going to tell somebody in the church sanctuary you're too dumb to have a conversation with me. I would do that at the restaurant or at the store or something. So I'm not going to do it in the church.
Right.
But that's really how I feel at this point because I see what's coming. Like for instance, we know the first lady tested positive for COVID.
Right.
Okay. So Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about this. And she was specifically asked, okay, what about the president? Well, okay, that's a reasonable question. But get her answer here. Check this out.
The First Lady is experiencing mild symptoms and will remain in Delaware for the week. President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms.
Well, of course he's not experiencing any symptoms because he's not sick. I mean, I will tell you right now, I don't have any symptoms of leprosy. You know why? Because I don't have leprosy.
Thank goodness.
If you tested negative for leprosy, you would also not have symptoms of leprosy.
Not only did I test negative for leprosy, but my leg did not fall off below the knee.
So if I go to Walgreens, will I find the test for
You're
leprosy?
the test for leprosy, exactly.
Oh,
well, it is making a comeback.
In some areas,
leprosy is actually coming back.
And so is malaria.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a cousin who gets malaria every once in a while. She's a missionary. Her and her husband are missionaries to Honduras. And so when they get on, they have internet access, she's like, oh, got malaria again,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay. Right.
Well, but in America, though.
No, that's
what I'm saying. The idea that it's surging in America, that should give us a little bit of a pause.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so look at this, though. When they were talking about the COVID stuff, because the White House is trying to reestablish the CDC and, NIH and all of these other agencies as the experts, and we are supposed to look at them, emulate them, and look at whatever they say is gospel, but they never bothered to address the complete destruction of their credibility.
Yeah.
Not once. So here's part of the conversation from yesterday at the White House.
Okay, and then you mentioned the mid-September vaccines, and I'm just wondering, because there is this spike of kind of incidents that are happening, is there any concern that is coming just a little bit too late in terms of the immunization that is in the population now?
No, totally understand the question. That is, the experts feel that, and again, we listen to the experts, CDC, FDA, they got to go through their process in getting these vaccines done and ready to go. That's going to be mid-September. We're, September, 5th? What is it, right? So we're not far from that, from mid-September. And we're going to do our job as we do every time when it comes to new vaccine or any of the tools that are out there. We're going to make sure that we encourage Americans to get those vaccines. We know that these vaccines work, right? We know when people stay up to date with their vaccine, that works.
We're trusting the experts.
It works how? because I remember all the early discussions about the vaccine, and I very much remember headlines talking about near 100% efficacy of this particular vaccine to prevent infection.
Yeah, they said it.
I remember that being the main deal, and then it slowly morphed. You could watch it. I think somebody put together a supercut of all of the headlines and all the people talking about that as the number went from near 100 down and down and down to under 50%, and then all of a sudden people started talking about it being, well, it's going to prevent severe disease, right? And that became the thing. It's like, oh, thank God I was vaccinated and I didn't get it too bad. And
It
it's just
would have been so much worse.
Would have been so much worse. That was the line. Actually, I think they emailed that particular copy to everybody in the public eye who had COVID. It's like, be sure to say, thank God I'm vaccinated, or else it would have been really worse. Even though there's scant evidence to support that concept.
By the way, you're being kind by saying near 100% because a lot of folks, including Biden, said, get the shot.
You won't
get it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And then people were saying, well, then why do you still have to wear a mask? Well, to protect yourself and others. But
well, wait a minute.
I know. So really what this comes down to is the playbook is the same as before.
Yeah, they didn't change it at all.
And they are going to start trying to shame people who are science deniers.
Mm-hmm.
That remember that term right there?
Oh,
They say we trust the experts. Why?
Yeah, and then they call us anti-vaccine and all these,
Right.
as though it's kind of like a blanket. Oh, you're anti all vaccinations. Here's the thing though, the people who came up with the vaccines that we're used to, they're relatively trustworthy because
some of these been around for generations.
They've been around for generations. They've been tested, and the experts themselves who developed and pushed those things, their record is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about people who think men can get pregnant, menstruate, and breastfeed. These are the same people we're supposed to agree are the scientific experts in our society.
The experts.
Screw you guys, actually.
Right.
At this point, I mean, look, it's entirely possible that, whatever vaccine they come up with is entirely it has efficacy against the new variants. It could very well be, the greatest thing since sliced bread in the epidemiology area. It may very well be, but your credibility is trash right now.
So,
I have no reason to believe you.
So what happens here is that when somebody goes, how dare you? These are the expert. Are you an epidemiologist? Are you a doctor? What you point out is like, I'm not a doctor, but I know that men can't breastfeed.
There you go. That's the retort.
Yeah.
That's the retort.
And so that's what your experts say. Zero credibility whatsoever. You've got questions, call your family doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, the one you trust.
The one you actually trust.
Yes.
And the bigger the hospital or the bigger the office they're in, probably the less I'm going to trust them.
Honestly, I think that's going to be one of the indicators.
I picked my general practitioner, my personal family doctor. I mean, it's just me. My wife has another one. Based on the fact that they refused to do mask orders in their office.
Mm-hmm.
So I drive to St. Charles. I drive out of my way to go to that doctor's office and I told them, I said, this is why I'm coming here. And they're like, yeah, they said that there wasn't anything in the data to back up those orders or those, best practices. They're like, we just told people if you feel sick, wear one so you're not spewing stuff all over us.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, I can buy that. I can live with that.
Yeah, don't sneeze on me,
right.
please.
Don't sneeze. Yeah, don't sneeze or glick on me. Don't do that.
Yeah, please.
And that was it. I'm like, okay, so you have common sense.
Yeah.
Therefore, and my blood pressure's now down. Like they figured out the meds. All right, just ahead here. We don't have a spending deal. Oh, noes. Government might shut down. Oh, noes.
Oh, noes. You're really broken up about this,
I
aren't
am.
you?
Yeah. Our friend Rick Manning from Americans for Limited Government is going to give us the perspective from inside the belly of the beast at around 6:36.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Allen Outdoor Solutions knows what you want. An oasis, a place at your home to relax, enjoy, entertain. Allen Outdoor Solutions can design and build your oasis. A spacious stone patio, different levels, maybe a fireplace, flowing water. See their quality work at AllenOutdoorSTL.com, AllenOutdoorSTL.com, or call 314-647-4800, AllenOutdoorSTL.com.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
Lockdown fever. Sadly, it's spreading, but don't worry. I'm sure Nancy will be able to still get her hair done. And speaking of lockdowns, we're going to hear from noted climate scientist Dr. Anthony Fauci. That's right. I think we should all pause and really stop to think about what he has to say. I'm just kidding. I can't say it with a straight face.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powerthefuture.com.
Hey, Colombo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. We've been using pest control services at our home for years, and the results we've had with All Solutions are second to none. So if you're experiencing a pest problem, or more importantly, want to prevent a problem, All Solutions Pest Control are the ones to call. Right now, you can take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer. Learn more and contact them now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Mystic Fix is sponsored by Comma Flight, redefining the dance between the masculine and feminine. Comma Flight is a somatic movement practice merging yoga, meditation, and massage. Workshops in 2023 are at the Chosen Retreat Center in Sebastian, Florida. For more, visit Comma Flight on Instagram at KAMAFLIGHT.
I cannot give you assurances that President Biden is not being investigated.
News, analysis, opinion.
One of the key Trump witnesses flipped.
I think at the end of the day, President Trump will be the next president.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, we're going to talk about fiscal responsibility.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about Congress and the president.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we going to connect all of that?
It's like, well, one needs the other.
Yeah. That's the challenge here.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a great event coming up Friday, September 15th, and that is called Is the Constitution at a Crossroads? And this is a conversation featuring Judge Douglas Ginsburg, who is a United States Court of Appeals judge in Washington, D.C. We actually had him on the program last week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was fascinating. We just got just a little taste of that.
Yeah, just that much just whet my appetite. I got to go to this event.
I'm going to be there. So Friday, September 15th, starting at 6:30. This is happening at View 17 in the University Tower building on Brentwood. And this is, like I keep telling everybody, this is free, but you do need to reserve your ticket. So go to hammondinstitute.org, or you can go to newstalkstl.com and just look up the events, Is the Constitution at a Crossroads? And we had a great conversation with the judge last week, and if you want to hear that and get a little taste of this or get an idea of where he's coming from a very, very constitutional perspective here. you can just check that out on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast.
I'm really curious what he thinks about some of the constitutional amendment big ideas coming out of people in places like Ramaswamy's campaign.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually on my Twitter account yesterday, I retweeted a Vivek Ramaswamy post or tweet. Or X or whatever we're supposed to call it, about him, talking about the wanting to raise the voting age to 25.
Yes, I saw that one
and
circulating.
My point was, when you look at 2020, when you look at 2022, and then you look at 2020, that 18 to 25 voter block broke hard, like 2-1 for Democrats.
Yeah.
So are you alienating those voters when you say, we don't really want you to vote, or we want you to pass a test that nobody else has to pass in order to vote?
Yeah, and then there's also the idea that some people have done these studies, and you got to take these with a grain of salt, that the younger generation is currently more conservative than previous versions of their 18-year-old selves kind of thing. So like there's a coming wave of more conservatives than we've ever seen in young people. Although I won't say conservatives. I mean, I've heard from some of these kids, they're more anti-left than anything else.
Yeah.
But that's ripe ground to get our conservative hooks in them.
Yeah.
to get the proper ideology discussions and all that stuff. So yes, this could be alienating to them. It's like, hey, we want you as part of the group here. We want you as part of the conversation, but not until you're 25.
Right. Not until you grow up a little bit,
or not until you serve the government.
Yeah,
that's
a weird one too.
It's a weird flex for a conservative, isn't it?
It really is. But again, I've mentioned a number of times, there is a big government entity within the conservative movement. There is a big government movement within the Republican Party. Now, there's a very small government one as well, and they're kind of battling with each other. And there's a lot of what Vivek Ramaswamy says that I do like. There's a few things I'm like, you're kind of getting weird, dude. But that right there is just big government. You're a citizen, you're of age of majority, but you don't get the rights as everybody else to participate as far as voting goes until you either serve the government or you pass a test or you wait until you're 25. Now, he's accurate in that would require a constitutional amendment,
right?
Which will never happen.
Yeah.
But it's just not a good look for Republicans, because how are you going to go out and win the next generation of voters by telling them we don't want you to vote?
Right, exactly. We want you to do all the ground game. Okay, you're 18 now. You can sign contracts. We can hire you for things. We want you to go out and pound the pavement and get the flyers out and talk to people and collect votes for all these other things. We want you to vote harvest for us.
We're going to tax the crap out of you.
We're going to tax the crap out of you, by the way, in the meantime, but you can't vote for us. You can't actually participate in the electoral process yourself.
Bad look.
Yeah, I don't think it works.
No.
I don't think it works.
But it is interesting also, there's a very clear gender breakdown on left versus right of that age. I was reading this yesterday.
Yes.
Women going left, men going right.
Yeah, pretty hard. And that's across all various demographics.
Right.
Like it's, I've taken particular note in the voting patterns in the black community, where men voted for Republicans significantly higher numbers than women did. Obviously, that number in and of itself is pretty minuscule, because there's only so much black support the Republican Party can currently pull.
Well, they're not trying, and
mostly it's because they're not trying. But it follows along the same idea that men are breaking conservative pretty hard right now, and women are breaking not just Democrat, they're breaking left.
Yeah,
like full on left ideology too.
Seriously, a few months ago on my syndicated radio show, the one American Viewpoint show, I actually talked to one of the guys from the Institute for Family Studies, and it was about this.
Okay,
because you look at that breaking right versus left. That goes down to, they're seeing that at the high school level, and we're seeing it in multiple countries.
Yeah.
Whatever you call the equivalent of right in another country, equivalent of left, they're seeing something similar in Western civilizations. And one of the issues that they're saying culturally is that, you can argue about the politics all you want, the elections all you want. Culturally, what we're finding also is the younger somebody is, the less likely they are to find an actual match to start a family with.
Yeah.
Because men and women are going so different, and women are going to college a lot more than men are.
That gender difference is huge right now, actually.
It is very big. And so when you look at the jobs that require college degrees, eventually women are going to basically run those, and listen, just hire the best person. I don't care if it's man or woman or anything else. But what's happening is partially because universities and the academy have become so indoctrination focused. A lot of men who, like we said, are tending to move farther to the right are just saying, I'm not dealing with that.
I blame feminism.
A lot of people do.
Feminism is cancer. It is society. I am absolutely serious about this. It's now I'm not talking about women deserve the right to vote. I'm not talking about stopping the stopping.
Just to be clear, you're not questioning that.
I'm not questioning that.
Okay.
I'm not questioning the idea that the boss should be able to pinch the secretary. Like, no, stop that. Okay, all of that said.
Okay, but
no,
I'm
Mike,
kidding. I'm kidding.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
But
I watched Mad Men.
Mad Men, exactly. But
hey, sweet cheeks.
But barring all of that stuff, every other ideological position that feminism has kind of brought into Western philosophy and into Western culture has been detrimental. Yeah. Like every single one of them, and in particular, it's been detrimental to women, and it's indoctrinated them to the point where they are holding on to the things that are killing them. You know what I mean? It's absolutely a cancer.
It is. All right, 314-912-1019. Just
I'm
ahead.
serious. I'm serious.
So would you say it's the difference? I'm just tossing this out there. The difference between maybe Susan B. Anthony and Gloria Steinem?
Oh, yeah. That's one difference. And then Gloria Steinem she's too right-leaning today for modern feminists.
Then you're comparing Gloria Steinem and Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, today's woman's a little different.
Today's woman isn't even a woman. And if you aren't supportive of that, then how dare you not support women who aren't women but are speaking for women?
But wait, what is a woman?
Oh, don't
How
start.
dare you ask that? All right. I was out of town over the weekend, and one of my teammates, made one offhand comment at dinner that said a lot about St. Louis, even though he wasn't talking about St. Louis.
Really?
I will tell you what that is right around 6:50 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You're going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com. Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner home selling team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
That's what happens if you're a Republican and you're accused of lying to the FBI.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
What does the FBI do? The FBI lies to Congress. The Attorney General lies to Congress. The Director of Homeland Security lies to Congress. And then what happens? Nothing happens.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
Because as we all know now, the FBI, the DOJ have become nothing more than the enforcement arm of the leftist government.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
I just like this song. I'm going to let it play.
She had a dream, boy, it was a good one.
One of my favorite tracks from from John.
With much desire.
You did music radio a long time. Did you ever meet Mellencamp?
In a roundabout way, yes, because he was at Stifel.
Yeah.
And Kathy worked that show.
Oh, okay.
And just said a passing hi to him. That was it. But Kathy said that he was very hard to work with.
I've read that before.
Oh, man.
I've actually read that before. Is it true that he's really short?
Yes, he is short. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. And also had a chance to see him in Dallas at a radio convention back in the 80s. Radio and Records. You remember Radio and Records?
Oh, I remember those things, yeah.
Yeah, R&R convention in Dallas. And boy, was his band great.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an awesome concert, but did not get a chance to do a meet and greet or
Wasn't
anything.
his drummer also Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band drummer, too?
Oh, that's possible.
I think that he got Springsteen's drummer to do a few.
That could be.
Couple things, couple tours with him. R&R, man, I haven't even heard that term in 20 years.
Not to be confused with the potty stuff that shows up at outdoor construction places.
Right,
Those
yeah.
are R&R.
All right, one comment from a teammate over the weekend was just kind of a reminder of how sad things are in St. Louis, and he wasn't even talking about St. Louis. I'll give you the story here in just a second. It is 6:52 right now. I'm Mike, got Gabe, got here, got Stell here. Should the government limit how much your kid can work during the school year? Now, Gabe and I here may have unpopular opinions about that at 7:05. So, Gabe, I'm willing for people to argue with me on this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, call us, actually. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what people have to say about this particular.
Right. So we'll do that at 7:05. Okay, so I mentioned I was all excited to go down to this baseball tournament and play in Huntsville over the Labor Day weekend. We got smoked 4 games in a row. It was we got whooped.
Well, it turned out to be sort of an all-star battle royale kind of situation, right?
So what happened was in the 40 and over division, which is what we played in. Maybe we should have played in the 50 and over division. But the 40 and over division, we were kind of looking around like, hey, guys, anybody want to go play in a tournament? This is going to be fun. And so like, hey, let's get a few guys who can pitch. And, we got a couple guys who can catch. And, hey, there's a guy who used to play here, but he lives somewhere else, but he's willing to join us. And so we're like, yeah, we'll win some, we'll lose some. Let's just go have a good time. No, that's not what this was.
That's not what happened.
This was the other teams were like, all-stars. They were there to win. They were there to work. They were taking this way too seriously.
They were like former D1 players.
Some of them were,
I mean, you get a couple. That's almost enough on a team, right?
We had a few D2 guys, former D2 guys. And so we just got our butts kicked. I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't think we came within 15 runs of any of the games. We just got crushed.
Boy.
And the last team we played, they were ready to. They were looking for fights. It was like crazy.
Oh man.
I'm like, it was really stupid. The other games, they were like, okay, they're hitting, a lot of hits, and it is what it is, and everybody was fine, and we figured out by the second game that we were in way over our head.
Right.
Now, I will tell you this: if you take the all-stars from the St. Louis men's leagues. If we did what they did, we'd have been very competitive with all of them. But we were just looking around like, hey, whose families wants to go down there? Which guys want to go? Let's just have fun. And outside of getting our asses kicked, we had a lot of fun.
Right.
But one night after, because we played 2 games on Saturday and 2 games on Sunday. And on Saturday, at the second game, we're looking around and we're like, okay, guys, you may want to go meet up for dinner. And one of the guys found this restaurant that looked good, burgers and whatnot. And he said, okay, let's just all meet here at whatever time. I mean, literally we're leaving from the field just to go to the restaurant.
Right.
So we're all still in our uniforms and the whole 9 yards. And we show up there, and this is in it turns out it was in kind of a downtown area.
Okay.
And I didn't realize how big Huntsville is, by the way. That's a much bigger town than I thought it was. And it's a downtown kind of nightlife, entertainment, business district. I mean, it's a downtown.
Sure.
And so we kind of showed up there, and I walked up. Of course, they're looking at me like, I'm in a baseball uniform.
Right.
And I said, hey, we got 10, 12 guys, and she's like, there's no way. She goes, we don't have, we got people waiting. And she said, just, she goes, there's a couple restaurants, a couple blocks down, and, we found a place that was fun. It was good.
Did you keep your cleats on so you could make
No.
noise?
No.
Click, click.
So,
click.
But, so we walked down a couple blocks, and we found this, this pizza place that, had outdoor tables. It was a beautiful night. And so we all just kind of texted, and that's where we met. And we're sitting there talking and recapping our losses and talking about this. And then Dave, out of nowhere, he goes, it's nice to be able to just walk through a downtown and not have to worry about anything.
Wow. Oh, wow. Man.
Yeah. And
okay.
he does an offhand comment.
Sure.
And then somebody, I don't remember if it was him or somebody else, went, yeah, there's like families walking around, little kids walking around.
Man. Just take a note of that.
Just noted it.
Yeah. Just noting the difference. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. When you realize that you've escaped from your typical environment, right? You've gone to a different one, and it's so much better. That realization is kind of stark sometimes.
Well, and what was so much better, what was that realization is that we could do what you should be able to do anywhere.
Yeah.
Simply say, I will walk 2 blocks at night downtown to spend money and not have to worry about getting robbed or jacked or assaulted or something like that. And it was so out of the ordinary for those of us in St. Louis to be able to walk safely somewhere downtown that we took note of it.
Man, yeah. I mean, it's honestly, I don't want to make too big of a thing of it, but that's basically a trauma response. That's realizing that your typical situation is actually abnormal.
Right. Well, and a friend of mine, he wanted me to go see Guns N' Roses with him over at Busch Stadium this week. And I just told him, I said, man, I love Guns N' Roses. I've seen them a couple times. I said, I just decided I'm just not going to go downtown anymore at night. I'll go to Cardinals games in the daytime. I just don't want to do it at night anymore.
Don't feel safe.
I mean, it's rough enough, getting here at 3 o'clock in the morning, when it's still well at night, downtown with my head on a swivel. I mean, if we were to make a change here and move somewhere else, I'd be okay with that.
And when you hear folks say, we had a great time in downtown Indianapolis, Nashville, Columbus, Ohio, and you wish we could do that here and feel safe.
Do you think we'll ever be able to do that in St. Louis?
Not in our lifetime.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I agree, unfortunately.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL Fenceworks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL Fenceworks is the 3rd largest Jareth customer in the world. STL Fenceworks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL Fenceworks is maintenance-free decking. STL Fenceworks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL Fenceworks make your outdoor space magical. Visit stlfenceworks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Reggie was a nurse for 16 years.
I had become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A lengthy prison sentence stemming from the 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. 22 years in prison for ex-Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, whose lawyers promise an appeal.
The sentencing caps one of the most significant prosecutions over the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Tarrio's sentence is the longest so far among more than 1,100 Capitol riot cases. Tarrio was not in Washington when Proud Boys members joined thousands who smashed windows, beat police officers, and poured into the House and Senate chambers as lawmakers met to certify Joe Biden's victory. But prosecutors say the 39-year-old Miami resident organized and led the Proud Boys assault from afar. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Dozens of people have been charged in connection with anti-law enforcement violence.
61 people have been indicted in Georgia on racketeering charges in connection with the protests against a proposed police and firefighter training facility in the Atlanta area that critics call Cop City. In the sweeping indictment, prosecutors allege the defendants are militant anarchists who have supported a violent movement that prosecutors trace to the widespread 2020 racial justice protests. The indictment under the state's racketeering law, known as RICO, was released by Fulton County officials on Tuesday and was brought by Republican Attorney General Chris Carr. Bill Alexander, Washington.
Secretary of State Blinken has arrived in Kiev, making an unannounced visit to the Ukrainian capital. America's top diplomat expected to announce another big money U.S. aid package for Ukraine as it continues to battle the Russian invaders. Blinken's stop in Kiev comes just hours after a renewed Russian assault on the Ukrainian capital city. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 77 points, NASDAQ futures 40 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
There's a battle for our nation going on right now. The question is, who will lead it? Get answers as the Real Life Network televises the Pray, Vote, Stand Summit September 15th and 16th with former President Donald J. Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis discussing what it'll take for America to get back to greatness, along with a host of conservative leaders like All-American swimmer Riley Gaines, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, Dr. Ben Carson, Pastor Jack Hibbs, and more. Go to reallifenetwork.com now to sign up for free. On the Real Life Network, the gospel is never censored by big tech or the government, with faith-based content, family entertainment, and new shows released weekly. Watch on any device, anywhere, anytime. Don't miss Pray, Vote, Stand, a free online event with Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, and other conservative leaders, September 15th and 16th. Available at reallifenetwork.com or download the app and sign up
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
the latest news.
There's like tarps and furring strips and nails and construction supplies that are necessary.
The bottom line is we have an overwhelming number of personnel that are on the ground working to restore everybody.
The news you need to know.
There's no question Hunter Biden was enriching himself and his family.
This is on the minds of Republicans, Democrats, Independents, worried about the very bedrock of what this country is, which is democracy.
And the place to talk about it.
Are we ever going to stand up for what is really right on this planet?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
A little bit of maintenance goes a long way. You can say that about your car. You can say that about your own health. But you can also say that about your house. Don't wait until something goes bad and then you have to start over. But one of those things that's basic maintenance, just like the shingles on your roof, just like the concrete in the foundation, are your windows. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. They are simply the best for less. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800. I think a lot of people just say, the windows let the sunlight in and they keep air flowing in and out when I want them open, and they don't when they're shut. That's good enough for me. But there's really more to them because Window World, first of all, is going to save you money at 3 different places in the life of your home. They're going to save you money up front because they're simply the best for less, and they're going to be less expensive than even inferior windows. And these are double strength glass. You can literally stand on top of these windows and they are not going to break through. That's how strong these things are. They actually had me do it. I was in their warehouse and they put one. And by the way, this window is on somebody's house now. And they laid it down. They said, Mike, stand up on there. We'll show you how strong these things are. And I said, well, first of all, I know how strong they are. But no, we love doing this. And I said, guys, I weigh 215 pounds. And they're like, don't do it. I stepped on it. Not a crack, not a creak, nothing. And now that window has a lifetime warranty on somebody's house, even though a radio talk show host stood on top of it. But the lifetime warranty, like I mentioned, is also where you save money, covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. So even if something goes horribly wrong, a storm throws something at your house, they are going to fix it and make it right. Matter of fact, Window World is also in the business of doing siding and custom screen doors as well. So give them a call at 314-993-1800. There are so many different ways they can make your home more beautiful. They can make your home stronger. They can make your home more energy efficient because that's the other place you save money. That double strength glass, custom fit for your home, makes your home more thermally efficient both in the summer and in the wintertime. So you are saving money all the way around. There's a reason the Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. You can learn more at windowworld.com, but give them a call. You're going to talk to somebody in their offices in Earth City, right there off of I-70, 314-993-1800. Once again, 314-993-1800.
News, analysis, opinion.
They're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, who should have the say as to when your kid gets to work and how much they get to work? What's too much work for your teenager? What's too little work? Even if you don't have a teenager, this is really a role of government question.
Yes.
I'm curious as to what you think. 314-912-1019. I'm Mike. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. By the way, the media has just decided that they know what happened, even though there's no proof. Is a hate crime really a hate crime? I want to revisit this at 7:20 because I have questions.
You have suspicions.
I have suspicions, And for our liberal friends who are offended that I am skeptical of a hate crime claim, I am absolutely willing to be wrong. I'm willing to admit it if I am wrong, and I am willing to discuss it with you today. All right. So here's what's going on right now, though. From Fox Sunday Night America with Trey Gowdy over this weekend, the congressman named Dusty Johnson, who is from South Dakota, was on, and they were talking about this legislation that's being kicked around the U.S. House. And a bill was recently introduced by Congressman Johnson, who's a Republican, which would loosen federal work hour limitations for 14 and 15-year-old kids. Okay?
Okay.
Now, under the current legislation, those teenagers at those ages cannot work past 7 p.m. on a school night, and they can only work 18 hours a week. This is a federal law.
18 hours a week?
18 hours a week during the school year. And Johnson was on Sunday Night in America to explain why he wants to let teens work more if their parents are okay with it.
I've always been annoyed at the idea that a 15-year-old who can certainly do athletics into the evening, who can certainly play video games until midnight, isn't allowed to work past 7 o'clock on a school night. I think we should be willing to give those kids a little more flexibility because work is opportunity.
Okay, so what he's proposing would increase the amount of time that that age group, 14 and 15, can work from 18 to 24 hours a week during the school year. And they would also let them work until 9 p.m. on school nights. Okay?
I had no idea there was a regulation like that.
Federal.
No kidding.
So here's my role of government question on this.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in Congress said those kids are going to be too tired to go to school if they're allowed to work. So we're not going to let them work more than X number of hours or until this time, 7 p.m. Stell, when you played ball, how late did your practices go when you were in high school and college?
Oh, it would go until 6:30, 7 o'clock. But I'm even thinking further back. There were times when I worked at our family restaurant, and I understand it's a family, and they get by the child labor stuff and everything. 'Cause my dad would kid with the police when they would stop by and say, your kid's 9 and you got him working here at 10 at night. But it never bothered me working late. And after we got rid of the restaurant, I worked a couple of years off and on at a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Lombard and a National Food Store, working 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. There was no issue.
Right. So is it the federal government's job to say these kids aren't allowed to work more than this number of hours? Because the idea obviously is we're going to protect the kids and make sure they get their education. Well, first of all, you're not getting a quality education from public school anyway.
Right.
And secondly, what Congressman Johnson just said, Gabe, was work is opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And that one of the things that struck me about these regulations, particularly because they seem to be they're aimed at like 15, 16, 17-year-olds, right? Or 15 and 16, something like that.
14 and 15.
But 14 and 15. Okay, so these are at the ages where in a bygone era, they would start to be looking for apprenticeships.
Right.
These are the kids who would be, they would at least have the opportunity, instead of getting a formal education gearing them towards college, which seems to be the major push all the time. They would be getting an education in real life work skills that they could take with them forever and would lead to tremendous opportunities in the future. I can't imagine what sort of ingenuity might be unleashed if these kids were able to go into programs that were specifically intended to get them into trades rather than to groom them for college, which isn't going to do them any good.
Well, what about this, though? If the parents are okay with the kid working 5 hours a night after school, so the kid gets out of school, what do you get out of school? About, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that?
Somewhere around
So
there.
a kid works, from 4 to 9. That's 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Why is it the government's business to tell them you're not allowed to do that and to override what the parents are going to say is okay or not?
And this is the other half of the argument is the role of government thing. I don't think the government should tell you what you can or cannot do with your kid.
Right. I mean, now, having said that, we do advocate for the government saying that, because if you've got these loony left parents who want to give kids injections and surgeries. We're saying, no, you can't do that. Parents can't even sign up on that. And I'm going to stand by that.
Well, that's a different idea.
Right.
Look, going to work at the local meat market at 10 o'clock isn't going to do permanent damage
Right.
to the child's ability to, live for the rest of their lives.
Right. Well, and with this, when this topic came up, when I saw this legislation, I almost fell into the trap of saying, you know what, the kids are learning the skills and, they could go into the trades or they could apply that when they go to college and they could, this could be really good for them. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm buying into their narrative that somehow it's my job to decide what the parents are allowing that kid to do or not do. If a parent has a kid who they say, you know what, either we need the help with the money or this kid's a really hard worker. They don't want to spend time doing extracurricular stuff. They'd rather go learn a trade or they'd rather go work at a restaurant or they'd rather go make some money and save up for college or save up for an investment or a house or whatever the case is. Then it's not the government's role to tell them that they can't do that.
Now, the challenge that we would have in our libertarian view of the way the government should interact with families is child labor laws, right? It's like the child protection,
Right.
So where the regulation isn't on the family, it's on a business being able to hire people of certain ages and require certain hours of them and things like that. I think there is an avenue for government to keep to prevent the exploitation of young children.
Listen, if a kid wants to haul nuclear waste after he gets out of junior high, who am I to say?
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of nuclear waste, which is something you would not take home after work, one advantage to working in the restaurant business, and for me when I worked at KFC was once you close down at 9:30, 10 o'clock, you clean up, and normally the owner would let you take some food home.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I worked, my first fast food job was Wendy's. Gabe?
Yes.
Did you have any?
Oh, no. See, and here's the thing. In my house, my job was school. That's what my dad. That's what my dad told me.
For some families, that's the way it is. Yeah.
He said, "Your job is," and I think the thing is, he identified something in me, and he said, "No, your job is school." And it turned out that that actually worked out. I just got paid in scholarships.
Yes.
Amen, brother.
All right, let's start with Bob here. Hey, Bob, you are on News Talk STL. What do you think?
Good morning, gentlemen. I just think it's ridiculous that the government's trying to co-parent with people. You're talking about limitations on injections and surgeries on kids, and I think that's a matter of ethic. And we get caught up in, well, should or shouldn't the government, legislate this, that, or the other, and we try to say, well, you can't mandate morality, and it's all we do with laws is mandate morality. I mean, there's no law that's not about a moral issue, and work is a good thing. So the government shouldn't be involved in whether or not parents allow their kids to engage in a good thing.
Man, you very well said, sir. It's like, would you like a radio show? I'm kidding.
Just not this one.
But no, you're exactly right. I think all laws hold a moral position because they're decidedly telling you this is good and this is bad, and the bad thing is punishable by something or other, and the good thing is incentivized by this, that, or the other thing. So yeah, absolutely. I think laws against child labor or child work, I should say, especially in this 14, 15, these formative years era, I think that has been a net negative for our society because we have these entitled kids who don't know anything about the world. They go to college, they think they know everything because they sat in a classroom in front of some indoctrinating professor for years, and then they come out no experience, no understanding of the actual outside world, the way commerce works, and all head full of philosophies that are untested and unproven, and they're screwing up the place.
Yeah.
Maybe if they got a job or two, they'd know better.
And I think we're also seeing the effects of how work has progressed to a broad scale. The bulk of the world is employees instead of working on their own, where we used to have more of, like you said, craftsmen, trade skills, family farms. We used to have a work culture where you worked to go sell a product, sell a good. And when your child worked that young, they were working beside you and learning something, or they were working with a skilled craftsman. And you could imbue in them your work ethic, how you go about doing things in the world, why it's right to do the work this way and to sell the product you say you're selling and to not cut people short. And I think But we don't have that anymore. We have a culture now where, broadly speaking, people are working for others who they're so far detached from that when you put a kid into work, it's no longer, I think, as good of a situation where you can teach them ethic and life skill like you could before. So I think that's a problem to solve. But that, I think, ultimately comes back to the school system and trying to teach our kids just to be rote memorizers and regurgitators, as opposed to how can you actually bring something of value to the world, and then having jobs where you can bring your kids into those and engage them with it, like one of you was saying about with your parent, being able to work beside them and learn from them.
Yeah, and then the ethics side and the work discipline that you were just mentioning there, Bob, that is applicable if they decide to go to college. It's applicable on whatever next stage of life is. This idea that the K through 12 public education system is what's going to prepare kids for life, we should know by now, is just nonsense. That entire system is incapable of doing it, and they're unwilling to do it.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agreed.
Yep. Hey, Bob, appreciate you being on the show, man. Thanks a lot. Goat Lady, Goat Lady on Rumble says school and work is a kid-by-kid situation. The government cannot regulate it effectively. Some kids get school work done and work 20 hours a week. Some kids can't get school done and work 0 hours.
That's true.
A week. Very true. Very
Absolutely.
True. You know, and I think I remember at some point, like the school wanted forms if you have a job, you know, because they want to track, make sure you're not working too many hours. And if I were a parent, I would just say it's none of your business.
Right.
Once that kid walks off that campus, it is none of your business. That's not your kid.
Absolutely.
314-912-1019. When is a hate crime not really a hate crime?
I have a problem with hate crimes to begin with.
Yes.
But that's a whole other story.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. But we've already got a narrative with one of the news stories here in the St. Louis area. And the longer that this goes on, the more questions and more skepticism I have. So let's talk about what may or may not have happened in Webster Grove a couple weeks ago, right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, Veterans Care for Illegals. Can you believe it? We'll discuss with Paul Lawrence at 425. The Classical Academy de Lafayette School Choice for your kids. Katie McKinney, 525.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Let's cut a deal at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Save up to $5,000 on a select John Deere compact tractor package with our exclusive 10-year warranty. And to make things better, we're offering 0% financing for 60 months with zero down. Get your John Deere equipment by shopping online or visiting us at any of our 28 locations. Let's cut a deal now at Seidenstricker Nobe, snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Simplicity Wealth, LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Fox News commentary.
The Massachusetts National Guard will soon deploy to help illegal immigrants at hotels and emergency shelter locations. Maybe that open border thing isn't working out so well. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey announced that 250 National Guardsmen will soon deploy to emergency shelter locations and hotels to help manage the migrant crisis that has overwhelmed the state. Some 6,000 illegal immigrants are currently being housed and cared for in the Commonwealth, and apparently the state can't handle it. But to put that in perspective, since Biden took office, around 10 million illegals have waltzed into our once sovereign nation. That's over 1 million more people than currently reside in New York City. Governor Healey and other blue state governors are calling on the Biden administration for more funding, but money isn't going to solve this problem. And here's what I can't figure out. Instead of sending the National Guard to help migrant shelters, why not send them to the southern border to keep these people from crossing illegally in the first place? I'm Tommy Lahren.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, media here in St. Louis still pushing the victimhood status of some people in Webster Groves.
Mhm.
Maybe they are victims.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as possible as me getting struck by lightning when I walk out of the
I
building
saw
today.
some big lightning on the way in this morning.
That's what I'm saying. It's possible. Probable is another story.
I could be wrong. And one thing I will tell you, that if I'm proven to be wrong, I'll say I'm wrong.
Yes.
Well, as Def Leppard says, it may just be hysteria.
That's right. I mean, maybe there is a right-wing criminal running around looking for gay stuff to light on fire.
Yeah. In Webster Groves in particular.
Webster Groves, yes, because that's where you're going to really change minds. All right. So before you win votes, though, you got to change minds. 7:35 here. Let's get some pointers on that.
Okay. Yes, please.
Found an interesting conversation, interesting article in the American Conservative. So I reached out to the writer. I said, hey, you want to talk on the radio about this? About not using the left's language to win debates. I think he's right. So we'll talk to him just ahead. Okay, so media has just accepted that the vandalism of pride and trans and Black Lives Matter signs and flags that happened a couple weeks ago in Webster Groves, it's a hate crime. It just is.
It must be.
We have to find the person who committed the hate crime.
Right. When something bad happens to that community, it's necessarily a hate crime.
Right, because somebody outside of it did it. And I saw the story. Now, this one was on KMOV, but other stations have done similar things. But they are starting with the assumption, their reports are starting with the assumption that the accusations are true, the claims are true.
Right.
Therefore, what we know happened was a hate crime. Now we have to find out how we're going to deal with it. Nobody in the mainstream media is stepping back and going, is it possible that we have yet another hoax?
Yeah.
So just to recap what happened a couple weeks ago is there were two churches in Webster Grove, both of them very liberal churches that had a bunch of,
church.
Right. had, rainbow stuff and Black Lives Matter stuff. And they said somebody came in and vandalized some of their flags and signs and set them on fire. And now it turns out there's a business there on Big Bend. And when I saw the video, I know exactly where it is. It's a counseling service. a therapist, I guess, and she talks openly about being part of the LGBT community, and it looks like it's one of those counseling services to affirm people's
Right.
LGBT status.
Right.
I don't know if she only deals with adults. I don't know if she grooms kids. I have no idea. But she had a bunch of, rainbow stuff and Black Lives Matter stuff and the whole bunch of intersectionality stuff. And she says, nope, my stuff got burned up too. It was vandalized. This was a hate crime. And the story on KMOV was that so many people had donated and wanted to replace the signs. And so now her business's front yard there, has signs everywhere. I mean, it's just a cornucopia of rainbow stuff and Black Lives Matter stuff.
So it looked like a commie unicorn vomited all over the place.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have not yet heard a single reporter in St. Louis ask the question, do we really have evidence that this is by some conservative or religious or anything else? Do we have any evidence to show that this is not a hoax?
Right. Because the thing is, the idea of it being a hoax is not far from reality. In fact, given the numbers, as many stories as we've seen, as we've covered, that have been at first declared some sort of hate crime and then turns out to be a hoax of some sort or even a misunderstanding. Given those numbers, it's like 80%, probably upwards of that. I think I'm being very generous to their side by saying only 80% of them were fake. Because look, if I see one of these situations, I'm necessarily going to default to it's probably fake because of the history. My brain works that way, right? We categorize things. It's like when a pattern shows up, you recognize the pattern, you accept the pattern, you just stay slightly open to the pattern being disrupted every now and again, but the pattern usually holds.
And I'm going to be open to maybe that there is somebody out there who, is just a, right-wing zealot, and they're out there looking for gay stuff to set on fire, like I said.
Sure.
Okay, maybe that happened.
Entirely possible.
Nobody, though, seems to be asking the question, could this be a fake crime just so you can rile people up? Listen, if I see a church that's got all the rainbow flags and stuff on it, and I'm going to completely stereotype, I'm going to assume, first of all, their doctrine, I'm telling you, their doctrine's awful.
Yes.
But I'm not going
to... necessarily so.
They're wrong
yes.
theologically.
Mm-hmm.
I would also argue that they are not actually a Christian church.
Correct.
That this is more of a political organization than
Mm-hmm.
it is anything else.
Yes.
But that's a whole other discussion for a whole different day. But at some point, you have to maintain your victimhood status, your minority status, your oppression status.
Mm-hmm.
And in Webster Grove, which is not exactly the most oppressed community when you look at how wealthy it is, every once in a while you got to generate something. So I'm not saying that these churches did that. I'm not saying this business did that. Maybe they're truly victims of a crime, but I'm saying nobody's asking the question when we have patterns all over the country that show that more times than not, this type of thing's actually a hoax, and there was some kind of motive, get more attention, rile up your community base, rile up your activist base, whatever it is. But nobody's even asking the question. And if I'm wrong and they catch somebody and they find out that it is exactly what these liberals say it is, okay, I'm going to report it on the air here and say that I was wrong. So why am I so confident saying I'm skeptical? Because I don't think I'm wrong.
And this points out sort of the journalistic problems here because, as you said, they're going with the presupposition that this is truly a hate crime, that there truly is some sort of red hat wearing America screaming redneck or something like that out here burning BLM and pride flags in Webster Grove.
American flag on his pickup truck.
On the giant lifted pickup truck with the giant flag. Yeah, that's in their mind. That person actually exists, and they went out to Webster Groves and they did all these things. And for some reason, the journalist is not asking the question, well, maybe they didn't.
Right. Yeah, the guy was cranking up Kid Rock, too. I can't
Obviously.
believe they didn't find
Obviously.
him. But yeah,
drinking a Youngling.
But that's the thing. Yeah, drinking a But that's the thing, is that nobody's even questioning it. When I looked at the copy of the story on the website, and again, I'm not picking on KMOV because every station did the same thing.
Yeah.
Post-Dispatch did the same thing, okay? it assumes as fact that a hate crime actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
There is no questioning whatsoever that maybe somebody torched their own stuff, or somebody from within that community went and torched their friend's stuff in order to make sure that that they got to be the victim still. Now, I'm saying as the pastor of the church, this counselor, this therapist woman, I'm not saying that they went out and torched their own stuff. It could have been one of their friends. Could have been one of their co-marchers. Could have been one of any of those people.
Could have been a patient.
Could have, yeah. Could have been any of those. And if it was like with this therapist, maybe it was somebody who was mad at her for the advice she gave.
Yeah.
Or the church who was mad at them for something they said in a sermon. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is that nobody is asking the question. Nobody is even questioning the premise. And the premise is it was clearly a hate crime. It was clearly targeting this community because they're gay.
And this is the power of the narrative, right? Yeah. And it shows how thoroughly captured the journalists are by the narrative, because the narrative says let's throw out all evidence to the contrary that that this could be a hoax, or that there is a pattern of hoaxes in this community. We must guard the narrative. There is a problem in America with their anti-gay, anti-LGBT, Black Lives Matter, whatever. There is a problem. It is rampant, and therefore, if something happens to these communities, it must be their fault. They must be victims. We must listen to them, and we must do what they say.
So one of their arguments is going to be, but the flags were burned, the signs were burned. There's your evidence, you right-wing bigot.
Is it though? I mean, that's evidence that something was burned. It's not evidence of why and who did it.
Right.
That's kind of the point. That's the question we're asking.
Because I said at the time, when I was skeptical, but not as skeptical as I am now. I am more skeptical now.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, you know what? I said, probably what's going to happen is the story's going to kind of drift away for a little bit, and they're going to have to find a way to bring it back.
It did. It did fade away until this the counselor came out.
Yeah.
And then of course the journalistic spin about the community coming together and like I said, the communist unicorn vomiting all over the yards there. So now there's full of more BLM, more pride flag,
more
stuff,
tranny stuff,
more
whatever.
tranny stuff. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
All right, so I'll just do what I always do. Saying, let's get the rest of the information first.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to question. I'm questioning. All right, are we going to win over votes by trying to use the left's talking points? By using their language, by using their words? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So let's find out better ways to win over not just votes, but changing minds. Let's talk about that right around 7:38 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9 94.1 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Now is your chance to hear Attorney General Andrew Bailey at the iconic Turkish Pavilion in Tower Grove Park.
Hi, Mary Teresa McLean here, Chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis, inviting you to the Taking Our City Back picnic, starting at noon on Sunday, September 10th. It's a free family event, and we want you there.
Bring a friend and meet Attorney General Andrew Bailey, plus enjoy free barbecue. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A Plus Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A Plus has always done great work for a great price. A Plus Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A Plus for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A Plus Plumbing and Drain.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
Don't get me wrong. If I'm looking kind of dazzled.
When we have a battle of policies, when we have a battle of politics, when we have a battle of ideas, at some point we have a battle of language. We have a battle of words. That's how we change minds in this country, is through the words that we use. And I've said on the air a number of times over the years, if you can control words, eventually you have a pretty good chance of controlling thought, which is why the debate over a lot of the key political and cultural issues of the day oftentimes lie on a foundation of how are we going to define them. I found a really interesting article about that this week. I'm Mike Ferguson. And that article was found in the American Conservative, and it was written by Frank DeVito, who joins me right now. And Frank, the premise of your entire article is not in their words, meaning that when you're engaging with the left, with you coming from the conservative side, you're saying that the definitions and the framework matter a lot to the discussion. Why can't we use the other side's language and still have a really good chance of winning the debate and winning people over?
Yeah, that's a great way to frame it. Thanks, Mike, for having me on, first of all. Happy to talk about this. So why shouldn't we use the left's terms or language when we're discussing these issues? I want to break it briefly into 2 parts. So I know we want to get to the practical, but on principle, I think there's a matter of truth, right? As personally, as a Catholic Christian, as a person of faith, I think it's important to speak truth, right? And so when we're talking about these social issues, we're not speaking the truth when we're using the left's terms, right? To call surgical procedures that attempt to quote unquote change someone's gender, that's not gender affirming care. That's not what it is. You're not affirming someone's gender. You're you're altering healthy bodies, right? So that's just one example. There are many, but that's the first one. On principle, it's not true to speak in the left's terms because the left's terms are not true. So I think that's important right out of the gate. But practically, we don't win when we speak on the left's terms. And so I'll preface this briefly by saying there are people we're not going to win against, right? There are people who are very ideologically motivated on these issues. They're hardline progressives, and we're not going to convince them. But that's not really who I'm talking to most of the time. I think that's not who we are generally talking to when we're having these conversations, right? Who we're often talking to is like what I call normies. That's kind of shop talk, but normal people, right? They're not particularly political. They don't identify as hard left, hard right. And on a lot of these social issues, they're uncomfortable with what the left has done, especially in the last 10 years. It goes much farther back than that. But we're not going to win their hearts and minds. We're not going to convince them of the truth of our positions if we're arguing on the left's terms. So again, the gender affirming care one is a good example. When you use that terminology, it's like, well, affirming is good, right? We want to affirm people, and if this helps them, then why would we oppose gender affirming care? Why would we oppose a woman's right to choose? Why would we oppose marrying whoever you want to marry? Those things don't play very well, right? People want a positive vision of why they should believe what we're pitching them. And so when we spin these things in a positive way, when we use our own tradition, our own language, I think we're just much more effective, right? The marriage one is a good one. Opposing the right to love who you love, that's a loser, right? But articulating the traditional biological and spiritual reality of man and woman, how they complement each other, how monogamous unions between a man and a woman for life are the best habitat to raise and form children in. Those are better arguments. I think you can go a long way to convincing people of your position when you articulate things with a positive vision. I think that's impossible when you're playing on the left's terms. You're already using defensive language. You're already losing.
We're visiting with Frank DeVito, and you can see his article called Not on Their Terms at the American Conservative, and we'll give out that website information in just a moment. All right, Frank, when it comes to language, typically mainstream legacy media has already bought into the framing that generally comes from the left. You mentioned gender affirming care. You mentioned the word choice when it comes to abortion. And so if you're overwhelmed in society with the definitions just being looked at as accepted, the baseline is gender affirming care for, a child who's going to be put through a castration or a double mastectomy. How do you bridge that when you're actually talking to somebody face to face and you're talking about an intellectual or heart level discussion about these incredibly divisive issues?
Yeah, the practical question of how to engage this, that's a really good question. And I think it comes with just honest, disarming language. So first of all, I think it's important not to approach people in a hostile way, right? So if somebody uses a term like gender affirming care, right, to respond with, well, I actually don't use that terminology. Let me tell you why, right? And you can go into the positive vision however you want. You can talk about how gender is actually not a good term to use for humans. You can talk about how we're not actually affirming them, but we're harming them. But I think that's the approach. You really have to start with a gentle explanation of, I know that's the common term. You don't want to put people on the defensive as if they said something terrible, but you want to gently approach it and explain to them why that's not a good term to use and doesn't accurately articulate what you believe about the issue.
And that's hard to do, though, when you've got issues that are literally life and death and moral versus immoral and just plain old right and wrong. That's tough to bridle yourself like that in those situations.
It absolutely is. That's why I wrote the article, because I think this issue of using nuanced positive language, it takes thought, right? Because if we're passionate about these issues, which we should be, it's very hard to rein ourselves in. So I think you have to stop and thoughtfully reflect on, when I'm approached on issue A, B, C, it's going to be hostile. It's going to be language that makes me uncomfortable, makes me angry. What's the best approach? And I'm a lawyer, right? So I think a lot about language and what are the best ways to rationally argue. But I think that's an important point for anybody to consider, even if they're not a lawyer, filing legal briefs or writing op-eds, even if they're just talking to their friends or their coworkers, to really take a moment to think about how they use language. I think it goes a really long way.
Yeah, and Frank, we like to think, and those who are on the right tend to think that if we're right, if we're correct, if we've got the good moral or economically sound or policy sound position, that if we can just get to the truth, we win. It all works out in the end as long as we're going towards truth. But what I'm hearing you say, and of course, my degree and career has been in communications, I will endorse what you're saying. It's absolutely correct. Is that, yes, we want to be heading towards the truth, but at the same time, we have to be strategic with how we present that truth to other people. If you disagree on language, that doesn't mean you're calling anybody a liar. It just says we need to have an accurate, an accurate platform for the discussion.
Yeah. And, I'll just say this, in the classical understanding of education, right, going back for millennia, involved training, especially children from a young age, in grammar, rhetoric, and logic, because before it's one thing to know things, but it's quite important to articulate yourself in a way that's precise, that's positive, and that's persuasive. I agree with you. It's not just about getting the issue right, but it's about articulating it, presenting it in the best way possible.
How can you tell in a conversation if somebody kind of perks up or if they're actually interested in hearing when you say, I don't accept your language? Let me tell you why. What are those areas you want to look for to where you might have somebody who's at least open-minded? But, the reality is that when you affirm that language that people are using, whether it's abortion or the gender dysphoria or labor unions or whatever the case is, if they've accepted that terminology for a long time, it could be hard to let go of that.
Yeah. So I would say two things. I think for one, if somebody's just completely unreceptive, I tend to see it pretty quickly because they either get passionate and yell, or they shut down and they don't want to talk about it anymore, right? So my understanding is if somebody's still speaking to me in a reasonable tone and has not shut down, then there's at least a chance of them being open. And then I would also say that you can affect that, because there are some people who maybe feel pretty strongly about these things. But again, if you approach it in terms of, well, this is why I don't use that term, would you hear me out? Versus, that's bad language, I would never talk like that. The former approach may open up more people, whereas if you yell at them, they're going to dig in, you're going to dig in, and the productive conversation's over.
Okay, the article is called Not on Their Terms. You can find it at theamericanconservative.com. It was written by Frank DeVito. Frank, do you have any websites or social media people want to connect with you and follow what you're doing?
So I try to stay off social media as much as I can. I am pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn. All of my articles at the American Conservative and some other columns, you can always find me on LinkedIn.
All right, Frank, thanks so much for the conversation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Anytime.
And once again, theamericanconservative.com. That was a really good article. I mean, I tend to find these articles because of my communications background. I really appreciated how he framed that. And I think he makes a lot of great points. There's a couple different ways you can go into any sort of conversation or any sort of debate. Sometimes it's just a matter of winning because of the audience that's all around you. Other times, if you're just dealing interpersonally with somebody, you can win the debate, you can win the argument, but lose the support, lose a vote, lose any hope of winning somebody over later. So it's all situational. Sometimes winning is what counts. Other times, just getting somebody to open up their mind. And at the very basis of all of that is understanding that you can't have an honest conversation with dishonest language. And that's something that the left has been getting better at year after year after year after year. Got some thoughts on this? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get me wrong if I'm looking kind of dazzled.
This time of year, heavy rains, high winds, they can hit, and if you have any loose shingles, even the smallest hole in your roof, you're taking a major gamble with your biggest investment. I can tell you from personal experience, do not wait until you have water where it shouldn't be. Don't forget that John Beal has disaster crews, which can at least cover your roof until the damage can be fully repaired. Homeowner, business owner, call John Beal, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
I'm here with Dr. Howard Wall. Howard, we hear a lot of debate about inflation, but real quick, what's the definition of inflation?
Inflation is when the economy has too much money chasing too few goods. That extra money sloshing around has to go somewhere, and it ends up as higher prices for just about everything.
So what's transitory inflation then?
Well, there are temporary things like pandemics and wars that restrict supply and raise the prices of goods like oil, but the root cause of inflation, like we've been seeing, is money. Fingers get pointed at corporate greed and price gouging, but those don't rise and fall with the economy. So, really, you shouldn't be fooled. Loose money got us into this mess, and only tighter money will get us out of it.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Mickey Balta, who's from Romania.
I had a appendectomy to be done, and my dad had to pay between $400 and $600 to pay the doctor to do a good job.
Oh.
Yes.
Bribe.
Yes. Tip the doctors, tip the nurses.
Stories of New Americans, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Is the tyranny of the experts making a comeback?
Seems that way.
You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. By the way,
mafia.
let's we're talking police. We're talking safety in St. Louis County. We're doing that at 8:05 with our friend Mark Harder. Okay, so I saw the first headline of the year with the words misinformation and experts.
Oh, boy.
So you know that it's going to be good.
Making a comeback.
The headline is Experts Dispel Misinformation as Bi-State Sees Rise in COVID-19 Cases.
Experts.
I
don't think there are any experts anymore. There are none.
Well, guess
They're
who?
gone.
Guess who the experts are who were cited?
Who?
The CDC.
Oh, those guys.
The ones who have should have zero credibility with anybody on the planet right now. And we still have media going, well, listen, the CDC says that's the source. I mean, just unbelievable. And get this, of course, we know the First Lady now, has COVID. And by the way, Whoopi Goldberg apparently has COVID now too.
Mm-hmm.
And the First Lady, okay, sorry that she's not feeling good.
Yeah,
or she may be feeling fine. I don't know.
Sure.
And so Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about the president, which is a reasonable question. And here's what she had to say.
Lady is experiencing mild symptoms and will remain in Delaware for the week. President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms.
Well, yeah, if you're not sick with the virus, you don't have the symptoms.
I tested negative for tuberculosis. And therefore not experiencing any symptoms of tuberculosis. It's kind of amazing. The correlation there.
So let's remember in the coming months what your leftist friends and what media are going to start saying again is you're anti-science. I trust the and they are going to cite the same people that we now know were either wrong or flat out lied to us for years. So when they say, I trust the experts, I would ask the question, are those the same experts who think men can breastfeed babies? Those experts?
Those guys?
That's what the CDC also says. Are those the ones that you think you're going to trust? Because that's what's going to be pushed on us again.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation.
St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
I want to share something special with you. I've told you how Wellington Environmental works to keep hospitals, schools, businesses safe for their patients, students, clients, employees. Wellington can do the same for you. Perfect example. A relative went to the basement, almost knocked over by the smell. A sewer line had broken. A call to Wellington, a crew was dispatched. First thing, make the home safe. Then clean up the mess. Truly clean it up. Now, I'm telling you this because I want the best for you. Wellington Environmental. Here's the number, 314-644-4930. 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. 644-4930. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
We're here with our great friends, Kathy and Rob Connor from Connor Roofing. One thing I love about your company, Kathy, is customer service.
We pride ourselves on making sure our customers are happy, and you can check out our Google reviews. We're very proud of that as well. And if you're not happy, we will do what it takes to fix the problem.
Well, that's just it. You set expectations, and we like to really educate our customers, and it gets done the way we said we were going to do it.
Call Connor Roofing, 314-375-7475, or connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It would appear that politics figures into a decision to delay a tightening of federal air quality standards for smog.
The EPA's decision comes despite a recommendation by a scientific advisory panel to lower air pollution limits to protect public health. The decision means that one of the agency's most important air quality regulations will not be updated until after the 2024 presidential election. The decision avoids a potentially contentious election year battle with industry groups and Republicans who've complained about what they consider overly intrusive EPA rules on power plants, refineries, automobiles, and other polluters. Jeremy House, Washington.
Asked about it during a visit to Indonesia, Vice President Harris brushes aside concerns about President Biden's advanced age, the view held by many that he's too old for one of the most demanding jobs on the planet.
A recent AP NORC poll showed that 77% of Americans and 69% of Democrats think he's too old for a second term.
I see him every day. A substantial amount of time we spend together is in the Oval Office, where I see how his ability to understand issues and weave through complex issues in a way that no one else can to make smart and important decisions on behalf of the American people have played out.
Harris adds she thinks the American people ultimately want to know that their president delivers. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Secretary of State Blinken is visiting Ukraine's capital, where he is expected to announce more than $1 billion in new American funding in a display of support for Kiev's fight with Russia. U.S. officials say Blinken aims to assess Ukraine's 3-month-old counteroffensive. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 89 points, and NASDAQ futures are off 48 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Let's be frank, the pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
The flow of information this week on News Talk STL.
Take a look at what's going on.
To get to the bottom. News, analysis, opinion.
We will forever honor the memory of the 13 service members who were stolen.
We want answers. We need answers.
We continue to pursue a strategy of deterrence. We remain committed to ensuring that Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon.
1019 and 94.1.
Joe Biden was front and center. He met with every one of these people that he claimed he never met with and never spoke to.
News Talk STL.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Extremes that we have around here. Really hot weather in the summer. We know that from the last few weeks. And then really cold weather in the winter. And I used to kind of dread it when it happened. But my wife and I called my friends at Anton's, and they came in and put a central HVAC system in our house last year. We decided we cannot take it anymore. We live in an old house. It was not built with a central air system, and so we had window units upstairs in a brick house, and they just did not keep up. And so last year we said we've had enough. We're just going to get a system in, and Anton's came out, and you can learn more at antonshvac.com or do what I did. Just give them a call at 314-338-3941, and they got in there, and we had bids from a couple different companies, and Anton's came in, and they found details that other companies just did not find, and they gave us a far better, I think, more objective assessment. In some ways, they said, ooh, they didn't consider this, but in other areas, they said, this is going to save you a lot of money, and they were right. And so these last 2 heat waves that we had, you know what we did? Slept comfortably through the night, and you can too. Give them a call today, 314-338-3941. Here's what you want to do. We've got a break in that really hot weather, but the 90s are probably going to make at least one more comeback. Make sure that your air conditioner is ready for that. Get a tune-up today. You could even have them check your furnace before the cold weather comes in. 314-338-3941. Doesn't matter who installed it. They could come give it a check and give it a tune-up and make sure that you are ready to go when either the next round of hot weather hits or the cold weather starts moving in, because the last thing you want is for temperatures to go back up into the 90s. You turn on your air conditioner and it doesn't work because something wasn't maintained. Maybe it was something simple, maybe it's something complex, but find out now while the temperatures are still really comfortable. And so they can save you a lot of trouble. They can save you a lot of money, because if you call when that happens, well, that's happening to a lot of people too, because they didn't get their air conditioner tuned up. And get your furnace tuned up as well. I mean, here we are in September. And so we're going to have that cooler weather starting in just about a month or so. So make sure your furnace is good to go as well. Call my friends at Anton's, consummate professionals. So glad that they put in that system in our house. AntonsHVAC.com, 314-338-3941. Once again, 314-338-3941.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, we are still quite a ways from the next round of elections. So right now, what we're talking about is the actual public policy that keeps us safe, protects our rights. And this week in St. Louis County, we've got one of these town hall discussions regarding public safety, your safety, police protection, and it's a two-way conversation. It is not a lecture. It is a meeting, and these are the types of things that you should be actively involved in. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 8:08 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. And when you get a chance to talk to those who are making decisions on our behalf, you should do it, especially when it comes down to something as important as emergency services and public safety.
Absolutely.
That's what's happening. We're now joined by St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder. And Mark, you're a part of one of these conversations coming up. This is happening on Wednesday, as I understand it, right? So what is it that the conversation is going to be? What do you want to do with it? Then we'll get to the where and when and all that sort of thing.
Sure. Well, good morning, guys. Thanks for this time. Basically, what we're going to have is a safety town hall for West County residents. It will be tonight at 6:30 at the Baldwin Golf Course building, which is on Holloway Road in Baldwin. And what we'll be doing at this meeting is we'll be hearing from all the police chiefs of all the municipalities in West County, including St. Louis County Police. We'll also be talking to some of the fire chiefs representing the area. And we're going to talk about all the issues that are kind of in the news every day, from car thefts to fentanyl to break-ins to security measures being done throughout the area, safety at West County Mall, things like that. So we're going to have a kind of a strong agenda, but we'll also be flexible when it comes to being able to take questions and be able to, navigate questions that people have when it comes to these topics at hand.
Good morning, Mark. Gabe here. So we talk endlessly about sort of the horrible situation in downtown St. Louis, particularly at night. How do the issues being experienced in the county differ, and how are they the same as what's going on in St. Louis?
Well, there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well. I mean, in the county, especially in West County, we don't have daily murders. We don't have drive-by shootings, things like that. But we do have car thefts. We've had a number of car thefts over the last couple of years in West County. We've had break-ins. We've had, larceny. We've had robberies, things like that, people assaulted. So we're going to talk about those type of situations and how we can prevent that, and basically how the citizens can work with law enforcement and prosecutors so that we don't get into situations like in other parts of this region where the citizens don't cooperate with the police don't cooperate with the prosecutors, and it goes around and around. And we've got to be a unified force if we're going to fight the folks that wish us harm in our communities. And that's what we're going to try to emphasize tonight, that everybody works together, to help each other and learn from each other, and so that we can keep our neighborhoods and our families safe.
Okay, so what's this going to look like? Is this a bunch of presentations by the different chiefs, or is this going to be more of a two-way conversation where the people who go, they get to give their opinions or ask specific questions? I mean, is it more of a presentation, or is it truly that sort of roundtable audience participation conversation?
A little bit of both. The police chiefs have been assigned different topics, and they will talk on their topics. And, of course, we'll take questions after each topic so that people can, if they have a concern over, say, fentanyl, they can talk. We've got a gentleman from the DEA that will be there, and he can talk about fentanyl and how that's worked its way into all of our illicit and street drugs in the area. and the deaths that's covering or that's causing. We're going to have police chiefs that can talk about their topics. So we want to stay focused, but also we want to make sure that everybody's questions are being answered and that they are giving their input as we go through the evening.
Is there any eye towards turning what comes out in this meeting into sort of legislative or policy changes going forward?
We'll see where it goes. We did this a year ago, and a lot of it was just communications. A lot of it was education. A lot of people did not realize, we had certain tools that the police were using in the area, so they were educated on that. People are curious. They want to know how they can help. Like there's a ring cam program that a lot of people don't know about where you can register your ring cam with the local police so that they can, if there's an incident on your street, they can, through your permission, access your ring cam to gather, investigative photos and videos, things like that, how to be safe in their communities, how they can maybe form neighborhood watch groups, things like that. And a lot of the people that are coming to this event and that have been invited, a lot of them are probably going to be trustees, neighborhood trustees, but it's open to everybody and anybody in the whole area to come by and listen to what we have to say.
And somebody may say, Mark, we're visiting with Mark Harder from the St. Louis County Council. They may say, but that's what I elect you to do, is to go talk to these police chiefs and fire chiefs and come up with the best way to keep everybody as safe as possible. Why is it important for individuals or families or representatives of churches or business or anything? Why is it important for them to come out here on a Wednesday evening and get involved directly in the conversation? Because, they could just email you get an update from you, I guess, but there's a whole different opportunity if they're actually there.
Well, we have to act as elected officials. We can't be everywhere and know everything. And I take on the role tonight as kind of the facilitator so that they can go right to the horse's mouth, so to speak, when it comes to their questions and understanding the nature of crime fighting in West St. Louis County. I think it's important that it's a two-way conversation, that the police chiefs hear from the constituents on what's interesting to them and their concerns. And then I think it's important that the constituents and residents of the area hear from the police chiefs and what they're up against and how, the obstacles and the challenges that they have to deal with. And then we'll try to build some, teamwork out of the whole thing to encourage that citizens need to work with police and also work with prosecution when it comes to these crimes. As we see in other parts of this region, the old saying that, snitches get stitches. And that's a problem because we need witnesses to crimes. We need people to come forward and say, hey, that's the guy that killed such and such. And that doesn't happen a lot in other areas. So what happens is the bad guys, get free because there's no witnesses. And so that's where citizens need to work with law enforcement and with prosecutions so that people that are committing these crimes are held accountable and that justice is upheld. So we're hoping to help get everybody working together on the same page when it comes to fighting crime, because the police can't be everywhere, and we need citizens that get involved and take care of their neighborhoods and show some pride and high expectations for their area.
Is there going to be any digital side to this presentation, or basically you got to be there?
You got to be there. We were thinking about recording it, but I think it's best that people are there. And it was good last year. We had a lot of good feedback last year, and people said, hey, we need to do this at least once a year. Time got away from us, and so now we're here a year later, which also lets us to look back, and we can look at the topics we covered a year ago and say, okay, has this improved or gotten worse, when it comes to certain crime stats and things like that. So I think having these at least once a year give us that perspective to see if we're making progress and working together and helping our communities be safe.
All right, we're visiting with St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder. That event is tonight. Let's give out the specifics. And I've got one issue that before the county voters that I actually wanted to ask you about before we let you go. But where and when is the event tonight?
So the event tonight is at the Baldwin Golf Course. They have a clubhouse building. It's on Holloway Road in Baldwin, 63011. If you're coming, anybody in West County knows where that is, but if you're coming outside of the region, you can get to Holloway Road from Manchester or from Baxter Road, and you can't miss it. It's right there on the golf course, and we'll be there at 6:30 this evening. We should probably go to about 8 or 8:30, and depending on the questions, and people usually hang around and talk afterwards. So we hope to get a big crowd there tonight and get some media coverage and get the word out.
Okay, real quick, we've got a little bit of a dispute happening between Sam Page and looks like some folks in unincorporated St. Louis County. There's going to be an election coming up in a couple months as to whether or not part of the unincorporated part of the county gets annexed by the city of Manchester. What are the basics on this entire situation? Because it sounds like Sam Page may even have the county spending money to campaign against it, which is not legal if that's what he's doing. But what's the situation right there?
Well, basically, those that haven't been living through this or paying attention to it, there is a section that of residential and commercial property that lies between the boundaries of the city of Manchester and Town and Country and unincorporated St. Louis County. And this property right now is unincorporated. And it affects about 2,000 people and some retail in that space. The city of Manchester would like to annex that into the city of Manchester, which means that you have to, both sides, both the current Manchester residents and the people in the annex area will have to vote November 7th to approve of that. And it needs a majority vote on both sides of that issue in order for that annexation to go forward. The city of Manchester has been giving presentations and having town hall meetings to discuss the benefits of becoming part of Manchester. And then now Sam Page has been using county funds to show his side of the story. And he had one meeting 2 weeks ago at Queenie Park, and he's going to have one this week at Queenie Park to talk about, why these people shouldn't leave unincorporated St. Louis County and talk about that. So it's a hot issue in West St. Louis County. It's the first time I've seen in 9 years a county executive or county executive staff get in the middle of these annexations, which we have periodically. Mm-hmm. There's something going on here that I haven't been able to put my finger on, why he's so involved in this annexation compared to having no involvement anywhere else in the county. So there's something going on here. I sent a letter to him and his staff, a public letter last week, probably 10 days ago, that asked, what is the total of money being spent on these sales pitch events, and where's this money coming from? Because we didn't authorize it, so it's either coming out of his budget or some other source. And I have not gotten a answer to my formal letter about this, and I wanted an accounting of this. So I don't know if we'll ever get it, an accounting, but I put them on notice that we are watching, and we're going to keep talking about it all the way to Election Day.
Yeah, and maybe this is just a pet peeve of mine, but and this would go for the city of Manchester as well. Missouri law specifically does not permit public money to be used to influence any vote, be it ballot issue or candidates on the ballot as well. So if public funds, other than meetings, they're allowed to go make their case. But if there's any sort of campaign funding for or against anything by either side, that's blatantly illegal.
Well, and I think what was done here in the case of the county is that he used our resources to help sell his side of the of the argument. And what I mean by that is that he had it at a county facility, Queenie Park. He brought in 3 of our 4 helicopters and landed them on the grounds there to show people that we have, 3 helicopters, which, and he should know this, is that those helicopters are a regional asset. And it doesn't matter whether you live in Manchester, Baldwin, or unincorporated St. Louis County, your tax dollars go to that use of that helicopter by the police. So having it there, he made it sound like, well, if you go away, you won't get the use of these helicopters somehow. And then he had our bomb and arson squad there and our SWAT team to show the equipment off. And he had all the departments having a table inside talking about all these different government departments we have in St. Louis County that, somehow that if, you don't go and stay in St. Louis County, you won't get the use of these, which is for the most part inaccurate at best. So, it's a stretch and in the argument, and that's why this seems so odd for him and his department heads and others to be so involved in this. So there's something here. We just haven't figured out what that something is.
Yeah, last time I checked, the city of Manchester is still within the county of St. Louis County, just pointing that
right.
out.
So everything that he right. So everything that he insinuated somehow that these people in unincorporated St. Louis County would lose is they're going to get either way, whether they stay in unincorporated or they stay in Manchester. They're still going to have access to all these assets and equipment and police protection and things like that. So that's why, and I think people that if you live in that area should be suspect to what's going on and why is he protest so much.
All right, Mark Harder, St. Louis County Council, good luck with the meeting tonight.
Okay, we'll do. We'll report back.
All right, sounds good. All right, 314-912-1019. Got a few things to bring you up to date on, including a big sentence handed down in connection with the January 6th riots. I'll tell you about that right around 8:26 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Are you wanting to improve the look and efficiency of your home? Well, one of the best and easiest ways you can do that, get some new windows. Window World, simply the best for less. You can give them a call today at 314-993-1800. Over 20 years in the business in the St. Louis area, over 70,000 satisfied customers. That's because Window World uses double strength glass, gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. They've got the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. They've got 18 months, same as cash financing. You can get them today. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com. That's windowworld.com.
Get involved and make a difference. Be part of this year's St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day dinner featuring former Trump Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Plus, special MC for the night, News Talk STL's own Chris Arts. Have dinner, support the St. Louis County RNC, and hear Hogan Gidley Saturday night, September 30th in the River City Casino Ballroom. For more information, go to stlcorerepublicans.org. That's stlcorerepublicans.org.
Paid for by the Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County. Kevin Turner, Treasurer. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Mystic Fix is sponsored by Comma Flight, redefining the dance between the masculine and feminine. Comma Flight is a somatic movement practice merging yoga, meditation, and massage. Workshops in 2023 are at the Chosen Retreat Center in Sebastian, Florida. For more, visit Comma Flight on Instagram at KAMA FLIGHT.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I've been thinking about the time you walked out on me.
You know, Congress never seems to run out of money to spend, so why are some worried about not figuring out how to spend your money? Because they can't figure out how to spend it right now. But they want to. They're like, we're going to find a way.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, geez. All right. Also, updates in this whole Alton High School situation. I've been pretty supportive of the decisions the school districts made. Going to question one of them here. It is 8:28 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson, which means I need to go through the news roundup really fast because we're got into this break about as late as we can. Okay, big sentence handed down yesterday in connection with the January 6th riots. Enrique Tarrio. I don't think he's still the leader of the Proud Boys, but he was at one point for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He has been sentenced to 22 years in federal prison.
That's huge.
Yeah, for his role in the U.S. Capitol riots on January 6th. Now, after that sentencing, Nayeeb Hassan, who is Tarrio's attorney, says that they are going to appeal.
While we respect the judge's sentence, we respectfully disagree, but yet we respect it. There'll be a day and a time where an appeal will come, and we expect the appeal to come soon.
Federal prosecutors were actually going for 33 years in federal prison.
Wow.
Enrique Tarrio, of course, he's a pretty tough-talking guy until consequences of his actions were staring him right in the face, and he wasn't quite as tough in the court yesterday.
I'm curious about, 22 years in prison. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious as to what that lawsuit looked like because...
Well, one lawsuit is criminal charges.
Well, no, I mean the merits. Like, I haven't seen anything about the merits of the case.
Basically, what they were saying is, because he was not in Washington when the riots happened.
Right, yeah.
But they're saying is that he instigated and coordinated some of them.
Right,
and so they got like group chats and texts and all that kind of stuff. So that's... And this, by the way, was a Trump-appointed judge who handed down this sentence.
Right. It's huge.
So,
it's a big deal.
22 years. Okay. Alton High School reopening for in-person classes today, like right now. They've been closed since several fights, often described as brawls, broke out 1 week ago today. Students now go through metal detectors to get into the building and apparently to get into the gym. School officials say they're now restricting where students can go between classes. So when students leave one class, they're like areas they can go, and I guess...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's really, really, really controlled. And get this. Anyone caught recording things like fights on camera, on their phone, could lose their phone privileges.
Wow.
So that sounds like don't tell anybody what's happening in the school if this happens again. Because if you record it, then you can get in trouble if you record it with your phone.
Now, the best way to read it could also be, well, we don't want to promote all of this stuff either. You know, I mean, because it's like, hey, all the kids shouting World Star as they film their friend jumping somebody else. I think you could make the argument that they're trying to discourage that sort of thing, the internet clout chasing.
Yeah, I think that is a fair point.
But I don't think that's the actual
I also think there's a PR worry that they don't get the
Absolutely.
reputation that when you think of Alton High School, you think of all these brawls. But right now, when you think of Alton High School, you think of all the brawls.
You know, I at this point, I could not send my child to a public school.
No.
I would do everything in my power to homeschool. Absolutely. And you could take the idea about not properly socializing them and throw that out the window. The public schools are socializing your kids to live in prison.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, I got some thoughts on some of that.
Yeah.
Contact the Herzog Foundation. They got all the resources you need. They'll give them to you for free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Senate returned to Washington following their summer recess. And while on the Senate floor, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says the top priority for Congress is coming up with a new way to spend money.
This month, of course, Congress needs to address our nation's most pressing needs with timely appropriations, and we need to keep the lights on come October 1st.
And I did not slow down that audio. That's just how he sounds now at this point. Because remember, September 30th, that Kevin McCarthy, Joe Biden deal expires. And so there's no budget in place right now.
Because that's the end of the fiscal year.
That's the end of the fiscal year.
Ugh.
And so the current Congress now has to fight over all this. Mike's got some thoughts on that. Mike, you're on News Talk STL. What do you think?
Hey, Mike. I know you were talking about this topic some yesterday around this time. I wanted to make sure everyone's aware, and I think you touched on it there very briefly, is that the government has a fiscal year just like a C corporation has a fiscal year. 2020, as far as the federal government is concerned, 2024 begins October 1st of 2023. And the federal budget is the one opportunity that Congress in general and the House of Representatives in particular has to assert itself over the executive branch.
Yep.
So surprise, surprise, the executive branch does not like this at all, and they will get dragged kicking and screaming and throw every block imaginable to keep the House of Representatives from asserting itself upon the other branches, which is within the checks and balances systems. This is their opportunity to do that, is to withdraw funding, and then the government shuts down, not because it was forcibly shut down. It just doesn't have the authority to spend cash on its own operations until the House of Representatives passes a bill, sends it to the Senate, and that whole process takes place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, then that's one of the more brilliant parts of the checks and balances, that the budget has to come from the House, but, still has to go through. So who do you think is going to cave this time in the negotiations? Biden or McCarthy again?
Don't ask me that.
Yeah, you're thinking what we're thinking, I think.
Oh, I think we lost Mike.
Yep.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is. And this is one of those, because when these budget things happen, and even if there's like a 6-hour so-called shutdown, Republicans always get blamed for it, no matter what. Conservatives get blamed for it, for standing up for any sort of principles. And I don't know that there are a whole lot of people out there other than government workers who are going to notice a difference if government shuts down.
Yeah, not until the airline traffic stops. That seems to be the point of no return. Not point of no return. The kill switch. But recognize that even the
we lost him. Hey, Mike, appreciate you being on the program. It sounds like he's in kind of a spotty reception area right there. No, good points, Mike. Appreciate you being on the program here. But this is you remember how big that argument debate was, because the president and the left, they want unlimited money to spend.
Yes, they want no restrictions, no consequence for just printing money willy-nilly.
Right. And Republicans, talk a great game on fiscal responsibility all the time, occasionally show signs of backing that up, but not often, every once in a while. But like, for instance, Nikki Haley had an interesting proposal. She was speaking at a campaign event.
When it comes to the economy, let's claw back the $500 billion of unspent COVID dollars that are out there. Instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, let's go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud that we know exist.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be everything. It's going to be kind of a drop in the bucket, but it would at least be the right approach to dealing with the spending and the funding.
Yeah, I for the life of me don't understand the budget process. I don't understand why they make the decisions that they make, how it comes about this way, and why it's always a crap result. That's the thing that I don't understand.
They don't. Their staffs do.
Yeah.
They're the ones who stay up all night digging through stuff, and they're the ones who there are Congress critters who are voting on this stuff and they don't even know what's in it. It happens all the time, and there's no way they possibly could. I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of federal spending. But what we do know is that the Biden administration throws a fit whenever they're told, well, you can't have everything you want. They just want to spend. And Republicans are saying, well, we want to spend too. We want to spend. You want to spend. So therefore, we're the fiscally responsible ones.
Right. Yeah. You're not wrong, man.
All right. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've been thinking about the time you walked out on me.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Hill. The rain pushing out of the area this morning, and now we're going to be enjoying lowering humidity today and temperatures only rising to about 83 degrees. It's going to feel nice when you step out. Decreasing cloud cover as the day continues, a little bit breezy at times. Now tonight, we're going to be enjoying temperatures in the 60s, and tomorrow still looking at temperatures in the 80s. In fact, that lasts through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio News Junkie.
Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Let's cut a deal at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Save up to $5,000 on a select John Deere compact tractor package with our exclusive 10-year warranty. And to make things better, we're offering 0% financing for 60 months with zero down. Get your John Deere equipment by shopping online or visiting us at any of our 28 locations. Let's cut a deal now at Seidenstricker Nobe, snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Colombo here with an awesome offer from the cleaning pros we trust with our home, the team at Zero Res. Mention the Colombo special when you book a cleaning in September, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $100 off your air duct cleaning, which is perfect this time of year because it will help alleviate allergies and asthma, lower your energy bills, and keep your home cleaner longer. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Facts don't matter. Lies don't matter. You or I lie, we go to jail. She lies.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
You know, it's just part of the business. President lies, it's part of his business. Joe Biden couldn't tell the truth if he could remember it. And then you got Hunter Biden, you know, because he's a drug addict, because he's a gun criminal, because, you know, posts pictures of himself with hookers and crack pipes and all that kind of stuff. Now that makes him somehow wonderful.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
It's time that everybody wake up and pay attention.
Live and local.
Recent criminal indictment of Donald Trump.
About the fourth one.
The fourth one.
The one he got the free gift with.
Punch card.
I think it's a tote bag.
This is News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've seen women who cross their legs before they sit down to the table. And I've seen women who look to the sky screaming, Lord, I believe in the Bible. And I've seen hopeless
Early Oreo.
It is.
Very early Oreo.
This is Oreo from my college years.
Oh, wow.
Back when they first got going in the early 70s.
Yeah. Hey, Gabe, you mentioned what schools are designed to do. Let's talk about that Alton situation right there. Because, I just want to touch on that real quick, because this is one of the complaints I've got about the public education. Frankly, not even just our public education, because our private education system often replicates this formation. And we had, was it Mike, I think it was called in? And we mentioned in Alton now, because there were all these brawls and everything was going crazy. It was chaotic. And now they've got metal detectors to go into the buildings, and they've got highly restricted areas where some students can go here, other students can go here. Got to go through metal detector to get through the gym. If you're caught videotaping something that could look bad for the school, is how I'm reading it, then you could lose your phone. So there's a lot of controls on the students. And on one hand, hey, you had a bunch of brawls, and clearly they have not got a handle on whatever was causing all of that, because we don't have any arrests. We don't have any people of interest. You know, we've got more and more and more restrictions. Okay, so there's one thing to respond to something like that. I get it. Totally get it. But think about how our school system is set up. And basically, we're talking about the public education system. The system that we have right now was set up where you go in at a certain time. You're going to go in and you're going to follow these procedures. You're going to sit down when you're told to sit down. You're going to stand up when you're told to stand up. You're going to remember the things that you're told to read. And it's very regimented, and everybody's going to get the exact same thing.
Right.
That was designed, and if you think I'm wrong, you challenge me on it, but read a history book before you do, or two. That was designed to create obedient factory workers as the industrial age was taking over the northeast part of the United States.
Absolutely.
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
So your kid goes to school where and when, based on other people, their age, regardless of where they are in their own education or intellect or anything like that. And you're grouped by location and you're grouped by age. And until you get later on, you can take a few electives, you are taking the same standard stuff. That entire system was set up to create compliant, obedient factory workers. Now, and factory workers, by the way, now have to be high tech. So this is not a dig that there's anything wrong with factory work. It's one of the crucial things we have in our country. But I'm saying is the Industrial Revolution is what brought on our current K through 12 education model.
Right. And now that isn't to say that there isn't a place for regimented learning is as part of education. You know, I'm a product of on some level of a sort of military style upbringing. I would belong to a group called the Young Marines between the ages of 8 and 18, and I did that as a matter of course. My dad was a Marine. So I think there is value to that, except the thing is Marine Corps training was designed for adults.
Right.
You know, it was designed for people intending to kill others and do so on command. So there are levels to this whole thing, and we need to relook. We need to re-engage the conversation about what education should look like, especially the education that we're going to be funding with our own dollars.
Right, and which is failing. Massively.
In so many ways.
We talk a lot about the indoctrination and the fact that they are looking at what outcomes do they want to have in society, and they want a Marxist mindset.
Yeah, they want social engineering.
Right. They want to socially engineer people away from the values that even families will want, which is why you see school districts all over the country passing policies that say if a student wants to talk to you about their sexual desires, you are not allowed to tell the parents.
So crazy.
Okay, that is social engineering, and that is saying we know what's best. We're going to rear these children. That is the very mindset that brought the system that we have now. Okay, so what happens when you have school choice? What happens when you have education freedom? What happens when the Herzog Foundation comes in and says, we can show you how to make a micro school, and we've got all the materials, and we'll give them to you. Matter of fact, we'll do a seminar and show you how to do it, to where if you decide that you've got a community of interest in your neighborhood or in your church or in your I don't know, ethnic, community, then we're going to show you how to do that to educate children the best way that you see fit. That's a threat to the overall system that's failing, and that's why you've got so many on both the Republican and Democratic side, but mostly Democrats, but too many Republicans who do not want that. They would rather process your kids through the system for 13 years so that they have the output that they want, where you've got less individuality, where you've got less entrepreneurialism, where you've got, less, less, I guess, aggressiveness and wonder about what you're going to do. You're simply processed. And that's one of the major downfalls that's making us far less competitive to other countries around the world.
And what happens when that system breaks down and it fails to create the weird compliant type of malleable minds that they want, is where you get these schools that do appear to be prisons. The schools that basically function the same way, where there is a violence hierarchy that rules even amongst the larger hierarchy of the structure of the school itself. So the bell rings and you have to go from point A to point B according to the rules, right?
And you have 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes to do it. But in between there, that's where the violent people rule. That's where the bigger kids, that's where the gangs essentially spring up. Smaller groups of individual kids who are willing to use violence to by whatever means necessary, get what they want, and they rule the hallways in between classes. Sometimes they rule the classrooms because teachers aren't allowed to do X, Y, and Z types of discipline because of equity or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a weird dichotomy. On the one hand, they want to make these compliant socialist robots, activist robots. Sometimes that works, and sometimes they just create an environment that looks like the inside of a prison, just run by children.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. 314-912-1019. You mentioned that just offhand. I'm like, I want to follow up on that because my perspective on this, I get, is considered radical a lot. I mean, I've actually had somebody accuse me of saying, you just want to dismantle our K through 12 education. You want to dismantle our public education system. And my answer is yes, I do.
It's failing. It's broken. And the results are horrific.
Yeah.
Yes, destroy it.
Absolutely.
Now I won't necessarily fight you on building something new, but it's going to be limited.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is if we decided just for fun to take out every aspect of education we have right now in a system and say, just for fun, let's come up with the worst way to mass educate children. You know what we get?
What we currently have.
What we have right now. That's exactly what we would have. All right, 314-912-1019. Let's talk about it if you want. I got a few minutes left before Vic Porcelli gets in here. It's 8:48 right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
And I've seen lovers rolling around in bed, screaming as if they're going
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
who makes me feel oh, like you do.
Hey, this is Chris Kerber, and let's go Blues. On Friday, September 15th, the Cardinals host the Phillies, and that night, 25,000 fans 16 and older will take home a Cardinals hockey sweater, courtesy of Valley Sports Midwest. Upgrade your experience with a special Blues Night themed ticket and guarantee yourself a Cardinals and Blues inspired quarter zip windbreaker. That's Friday, September 15th. Join us at the ballpark with the Cardinals as we celebrate the face-off to a new hockey season. For tickets, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! And a home run by the Wizard!
This is Ozzie Smith. On Saturday, September 16th, the Cards host the Phillies, and that day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will take home a stadium-exclusive bobblehead of me dressed as the Wizard, courtesy of Coca-Cola and Deerbergs. This unique bobblehead design is a nod to the historic promotional wall poster of me from the late 1980s. That's Saturday, September 16th. For details or tickets, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your healthcare. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
Lockdown fever. Sadly, it's spreading, but don't worry. I'm sure Nancy will be able to still get her hair done. And speaking of lockdowns, we're going to hear from noted climate scientist Dr. Anthony Fauci. That's right. I think we should all pause and really stop to think about what he has to say. I'm just kidding. I can't say it with a straight face.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powerthefuture.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, Veterans Care for Illegals. Can you believe it? We'll discuss with Paul Lawrence at 4:25. The Classical Academy de Lafayette School Choice for your kids. Katie McKinney, 5:25.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then. know, it's interesting how people just kind of light up when you talk about the education deficiencies, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Of the system. Because we get fired up over it. And we should. and whenever I hear somebody say, well, we've got a great public school here. No, you don't.
No.
You
think you do.
You may have one that doesn't suck as much as 2 or 3 towns over.
Mm-hmm.
But you really don't.
You may know 1 or 2 teachers that you consider them a good person.
Right.
But the system itself, it's probably just as broken as anywhere else.
Right. You know, and schools are starting to offer, you know, more options, which is great, but they're being drugged into it instead of trying to lead.
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah. They don't want to change the process. It's designed to protect the teachers' unions. It's designed to protect the administration.
Yep.
It's not designed to protect taxpayers. It's not designed to present any sort of accountability. And it's sure not designed to maximize each individual child's educational outcome. It's designed to try to get better averages.
Absolutely.
That's really what it comes down to.
And it sucks at it.
Yeah.
It sucks at it all.
All right, 8:53 right now. We got Gabe here, Stell here. We got we got about 4 minutes left here.
Yeah,
I think here we got Karen's got some thoughts on it. Hey, Karen, you're on News Talk STL.
Hi, my granddaughter is a freshman in Parkway District in the high school, and I questioned her about what's going on, and she said, "Oh, we have a new history textbook," and so that just really piques my interest. Like, oh, really? I would love to know what is in that textbook. The only comment she would make is, yeah, the teachers don't really like it because it's just all over the place. And then it just, I don't know, I just don't trust anybody anymore.
Well, but here's the thing, Karen.
I would love to know that, what's in that textbook.
Okay, so Karen, here's the other thing, though, is that the fact that you're involved already is more than half the battle already. Because you're not going to be able to stop indoctrination from the left-wing school districts, but you can push back, mitigate it, and compete for your granddaughter's heart and soul and outlook on life by saying, well, let me see it. And then when there's something that's wrong or indoctrination, you and or her parents or whoever, you're able to say, no, let me show you the truth. But it takes more people doing what you're doing to let those kids know, no, that's not correct. You're not getting good instruction from the school. Here's the truth. So the fact that you're proactively doing that, first of all, speaks very well of you and probably your whole family, but it's something that more people need to be doing.
Well, yeah, I think they think I'm crazy.
Oh, no.
They're so trusting because this is such a wonderful, out here West County, everything's wonderful.
Right.
We can trust everyone. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let's think about that.
But here's the thing, Karen.
So I don't know. Yeah.
She may say, yeah, grandma's just weird about this stuff. She's crazy now. But you know what's going to happen when she turns about 26, 27? She's going to look back and go, "Oh, thank God, Grandma was pushing back and making sure I was getting another perspective."
I hope so because I try, but I spoke up on something else, and she's like, "Oh no, Grammy's going to say something. If I let her see that, Grammy will say something."
Yeah, yeah.
And that would be bad. That would be bad for. She believes for her. So
hey, well, sometimes if they know that somebody's going to say something, then they should be reconsidering whatever it is.
Yeah, they already know it's bad.
If you just, I don't know if I contact the district. I mean, are those textbooks out there that people can see? Most they don't even use textbooks, but this is a textbook.
Okay, so sort of. Now, are you the guardian or
no?
Okay.
No, I'm just.
Okay.
I'm just standing in there.
So here's where it's at for most school districts is you aren't going to be able to say, show me what my granddaughter's learning and doing and because that's going to be for her parents or immediate guardians. So you're not going to be able to do that. However, the curriculum, generally speaking, should be subject to freedom of information and it should be public information. And if you say, I'm a taxpayer in this district, I've got family in this district, I'd like to know what the curriculum looks like or which textbooks are being used, generically speaking, not asking for any one child. And that should be something that you're provided with. Now, they may drag their feet, but you should be able to access that somehow.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
And worst comes to worst, contact your state rep to see if get them involved. Hopefully, they're a good one, right? So then you can get them involved and say, hey, the school is hiding something, or you might want to check this out, or they're teaching these weird stuff.
It could be perfectly fine,
Right.
but I want to know that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially if you happen to live in that district. Yes, that is all something that should be available publicly. These are the textbooks. Here's the curriculum. Yes, that absolutely should be available. Now, they may not make it easy to get, but it should be eventually something you can find. Karen, I got to run to an information break
Okay, thank you.
clean up my mess
Bye.
because Vic's coming in so that he can make a mess in here. And that's just a good discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And K through 12, we need to take that stuff down, man.
Yeah,
We really
which
do.
means we need to start by winning a lot more of those school board races this coming April. Vic Porcelli, just ahead.
Thanks for listening on this Wednesday morning, and welcome home to News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here. I want to tell you about an awesome business located in my hometown of Eureka, Missouri that we use all the time for our exterior homestead needs, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. Veteran owned, they will come to you and schedule a one-on-one consultation. They know that replacing your roof or anything on the exterior of your home is always a really big deal, which is why they've always got a no pressure, no obligation inspection and evaluation. Fully licensed and insured, nothing but the highest quality of materials made right here in the USA. 636-938-ROOF, 636-938-ROOF, EurekaContracting.com. That's EurekaContracting.com.
Adam, man, your ant parties are the best. I mean, you always find the best kitchens with all the crumbs.
Thanks, man. I love finding these homes to do this at.
Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh,